and intimidated a junior female officer. The officer opened a case against Khan. It's alleged before police could take a statement from Khan, dockets of the case were already leaked to him by Andrea Johnson, who was a senior prosecutor at the time. Testifying before the Madlala Commission today, Johnson denies this.
The allegation referred to above is also vague and unsupported by particulars. No particulars have been provided as to who made the allegations, which docket is implicated, when or where the alleged disclosure occurred, how the docket was allegedly disclosed, or what information was allegedly conveyed. This is a serious allegation to make against a person holding as high a position of responsibility as I do.
Johnson says she has a personal and professional relationship with Khan. However, she has never done anything illegal on his behalf and vice versa. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and a JMPD officer known only as Witness K have been granted 5,000 rand bail each. The duo was arrested on Friday last week for allegedly orchestrating the theft of precious stones worth nearly 15 million rand 3 years ago. While the JMPD officer told the Madlala Commission that the incident was a theft, Mkhwanazi maintains it was a legitimate police operation to recover those stones. Magistrate Annalise Tlhape delivered the bail ruling this afternoon.
What this court have to deal with is to consider whether if they are released on bail, they will able to stand their trials. And court have found that, therefore, the court have considered to grant bail by the amount of 5,000 rand, each of them same as the applicants that are already been released on bail.
The Johannesburg High Court has denied the state's bid to introduce video footage as evidence in the attempted murder trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Madlala and his 4 co-accused. The footage, allegedly captured by a bank near the entrance to a Centurion golf estate, was challenged by the defense over its authenticity. It's understood the footage was taken in 2022 when taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni was allegedly targeted in a shooting. Madlala, his wife Tsakane, and 3 others face a combined 25 charges linked to 3 separate alleged assassination attempts. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
Counsel for accused number 1, Advocate Rian Kheseng, led the objection to the admission of the footage, arguing it had not been independently authenticated. The objection was supported by legal representatives of all 5 accused, who submitted that allowing the video into evidence before its authenticity had been verified would prejudice their clients.
It will already be on record. It can very well contaminate the record, and to at the later stage decide that this evidence that we provisionally allowed is now disregarded. I think, with great respect, my submission is not appropriate, not in terms of the law.
During cross-examination, the state's first witness, security guard Nzamo Cele, testified that he only viewed the footage after making his initial statement to police. Judge Kasim Musa upheld the defense's objection and refused the state's application to admit the video. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The Gauteng Transport Department has denied claims of a breakdown in its relationship with the province's taxi industry. This despite claims by Taxi Alliance Santaco of an escalating dispute with the province over delays in issuing operating licenses. The organisation has warned the backlog is hurting operators financially and could ultimately affect millions of commuters. Santaco is now threatening a province-wide shutdown if its concerns are not addressed, accusing the department of a lack of meaningful engagement. But Gauteng Transport Department spokesperson Lisi Bampia says while there are challenges, relations with the taxi industry have not broken down.
The taxi industry has informed the MEC that, look, there is a problem in terms of the issuing of operating licenses. Please intervene. And the MEC has done just that by actually reviewing how the operating license is distributed or issued. And she has taken it upon herself to actually go to the front line, take ownership of the operating licenses, go to specific associations and issue out these operating licenses.
And in the UK, Andy Burnham has holding his first cabinet meeting as Prime Minister this afternoon. He began the meeting by congratulating and thanking both new and reappointed ministers for being in his cabinet. Earlier, Burnham announced that he was scrapping VAT on household electricity bills in October. According to reports, this will save a typical household around £45 a year. The move will cost the government about £850 million in the current UK financial year, but the tax cut will be funded by cancelling former Prime Minister Keir Starmer's plan for a digital ID scheme that would have cost the taxpayer £1.8 billion. Gold is trading at $4,058.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.45 to the dollar, 22.03 to the pound, 18.78 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.75 a barrel.
Slow-moving traffic in Centurion. This is on Old Joburg Road between Littleton and Hendrik Vervoet, while in Edenville travelling towards Bedfordview. Traffic sluggish, R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange.
In your sport, the 2030 FIFA World Cup set to become a 64-team tournament. Banyana touched down in Morocco ahead of WAFCON 2026. And Australia recalled Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood and Nathan Lyon for their test series against Bangladesh.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN, head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has denied leaking a police docket to controversial crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie, walk the talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 21st of July. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. As details emerge of the nearly 31 million rand spent by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture on attending the Football World Cup, some of that money, it should be said, raised from sponsors, attention is now on another national team heading for another World Cup next month, if they can get the money together.
Swings out wide on Bertram, outweights everybody and slots it home, and a first ever goal for South Africa against Australian Olympic competition. 1-0 scoreline.
Untatile Zulu, a leading member of our women's national hockey team, has raised for discussion her frustration at having to pay to represent her country. In the case of this upcoming World Cup, each player required to come up with around 68,000 rand, it would seem. We'll hear from her after 5. Could South Africa start running out of public school teachers sooner rather than later, partly due to vacancies and partly due to the demographics of the profession? A disproportionate number of those teachers are older than 50. Answers provided to Parliament by Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Gwagube, suggest we could be heading for a crisis sooner rather than later. But can we still head it off? Basil Manuel will join us from the Teachers Union, NAPTOSA, at 10 to 5. Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 others are facing charges including attempted murder in a Johannesburg court. Dimakatso Lishoro joins us with the latest in a moment. And as the criminal justice system grinds along, that same system remains very much under scrutiny at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
I am able to make input. A lot of the times the input is taken on board. When myself and those managers who are being briefed leave the room, you have a lead prosecutor and lead investigator, and they also have the benefit of the 2 chief criminal investigators, as well as Mr. Sissoko, who's the head of operations. And they will deliberate on what we have suggested, and they can and they take it on board and make the final decision, because the execution is theirs, not the ID.
So out of that process, the final decision is not yours?
It's not my
it's
final
made by
decision.
other people?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So that was the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption, Advocate Andrea Johnson. She's answering questions, particularly in the light of things said about her and the work she does by previous witnesses to the Commission. Thabiso Korba joins us a little bit later in the show. He'll update us on what's been happening sometime after 4 p.m. As always, Monday to Thursday, we'll have some music for you. Here's a question. If you were compiling an essential song playlist for someone, say, at least 15 years younger than you, you can stretch the age gap if that would suit your argument, or if you need to picture a particular individual, but someone who is, a lot younger than you, let's say. What song would be on the top of that playlist? Here's one to get us started. That's Live with Lightning Crashes, and that particular song choice has a very nice little backstory. Kabazela will share all of that a bit later. The JSE has made small gains today. The all-share up by 165 points so far. That's largely due to metals doing very well indeed, with the resource index up by 1.9%. Mining companies are leading the gainers, with South 32 up by 5.4%. They're on a good run. DRD Gold better by 3.9%, and Sibanye up by 3.6%. Not surprisingly, good numbers for precious metals. The gold price up by $49.25 an ounce. Platinum has gained $39.20. Companies that are having a tougher day include Aspen, down by 4.9%, and Mr. Price, which has lost 2.8%. The rand is trading at 16.44 against the dollar. That's 6 cents stronger than it was this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 18 rand 77. That's a 7-cent gain for our currency, and 22 rand and 3 cents will get you a pound. The rand gaining 17 cents on sterling over the last 24 hours. The oil price is up by $1.46. Brent crude currently trading at $90.30 a barrel. Boo. Not good. Stephen Curtis joins us with all the market news at 4:25. Sport with Tolakele Mganga. Looking forward to that. What do you think, by the way? You may have heard Tolakele a moment ago talk about a 64-team World Cup in 2030. Yeah, give me your views on that. I want to hear yours before I share mine. 072 702 1702. Karabo Chali standing by with all the traffic news, and Mbali Tlameni back at 3:30. That's in about a quarter of an hour with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, we will do our level best to bring it to you first. But if there's something you know that we don't know, something you know about that we have sort of covered, but maybe a detail or two missed on our side, join in, weigh in, and tell us what you think about what is going on. Contact us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. This is 702 Drive.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Sometimes when we're looking to buy things that might make a substantial difference in the kitchen, in the home, or in some way in your life, we often, our minds, I think, go to things that you would like to have and say, oh, gee, but it really costs. Whereas, in fact, there are limitless numbers, I think, of cheap, inexpensive, and actually quite boring things that can really be, I wouldn't say life changers, but make a significant difference to the way in which you go about your life, the way in which you enjoy the things that you enjoy. So please share with us a boring, inexpensive household item or personal item of some kind that has actually improved your life. Send those, please, not the items, just the details of the items to 072 702 1702, unless, of course, you want to send us a sample, in which case we would be delighted. Jonathan Fairbairn, something boring, inexpensive, but incredibly useful. You go first.
Afternoon to you, John, and afternoon to the 702 family. It would have to be glass Tupperware. Inverted copper Tupperware, because it's a generic name.
Yes.
So
container.
Container, yeah. So my missus had bought these glass containers from Pep Home, and she brought. I think she bought 2 or 3 at the start. Just like, what do you think of these? And I was like, oh, glass, fine, cool, whatever. And then once I started using them, it was brilliant, because if you're using a plastic container and you're putting stuff inside and you're putting them in the fridge, you often, a couple of days later, whatever it is, you can't keep track with what's inside them. So you got to open them up and all that kind of stuff. With the glass, you can see straight away when you open up the fridge what's inside. So number one, for storage is fantastic, and then as a scuff tin to bring to work and heat up in the microwave, it's great. You don't even have to put it in a plate.
And we can see what you're eating, which I must admit is a matter of endless curiosity. We don't even have to ask. Those sound good, hey, Pep?
Yeah, no, they're great, and they're relatively cheap.
I'm off. I'm there. I'm gonna get myself a couple and work my way towards a set. How about you, Karabo Charlie? Smart, clever things.
Yeah. Mine is a lint remover. It works wonders, but then
those roly ones with the replacement sticky part.
It's the electric one,
where
you charge. And then you just, and it's just it's one of those boring things when you are using them, but it works wonders.
And they don't cost a lot.
No, less than 200, less than 100 rand. So it's quite cheap. It clicks or something like that.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Let me see your clothes. Yeah, lint free.
Man's lint free, hey. Yeah, so mine is an interesting one, because as I've mentioned before and indicated in various conversations, I'm a very, very keen on wine, particularly red wine. But until I met my wife, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a wine pump, because I almost never finish a whole bottle. So you want to keep the bottle, but you don't want air to get in. Air plays a part in the tasting of wine and the enjoyment, but once you're done, you don't want air to get in the bottle. And you get different kinds of wine pumps, but many of them cost very, very little rubber stoppers, and then a pump that goes with it, or there's something that goes straight on the top and is itself the pump, and you give it a and air comes out, and then you seal it off. So there we go.
I didn't even know that existed until I met you.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can you imagine what we are going to have by way of useful, inexpensive, and arguably quite boring, but incredibly useful things once the rest of the 702 family has actually weighed in and shared us your tips? Please, life can be improved, and it doesn't have to cost a bomb. So call us with the devices, the gadgets, the things that we ought to be buying for ourselves. Call us soon, because, we need to start ordering online if we like the idea. Well, we won't do it during the show, I promise. But get in touch. 072 702 1702. 20 minutes past 3 o'clock. Let's find out what's happening out on the roads with your very, very inexpensive traffic service. Karabo Charlie, hi.
Thanks, John. Well, at this stage in Centurion, there's still slow-moving traffic on Old Joburg Road between Nettleton Road and Hendrik Verwoerd, while in Edenvale, traffic sluggish heading towards Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Malibongo Drive and President Fisher. Traffic lights also not working in Marlborough at Marlborough Drive and Old Pretoria Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
There are people that are trying to get IDEC to be disbanded, or that are trying to get Andrea Johnson to be fired. I think two things can exist at the same time. Yeah, sure. Maybe there are people in the ANC or in society who are threatened by IDEC. But also, let's be real. We're dealing here with a reality that Andrea Johnson's institution of IDEC, they were not able to explain why they went and investigated an HR matter when they didn't even look at the job advert. It just doesn't make sense. Why would Andrea Johnson send such sensitive information to Firoz Khan, information about the person who was complaining against Firoz Khan? Those are important questions to ask. Let's address those concerns. And then we can also separately address whether or not there are attacks on IDEC.
Clement Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Cutting costs means more money for your business. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Marshall from Bow Electrical.
I was with my other insurance for many years and then I switched to Outsurance Business Insurance. It was a one quick call. They gave me a great cover and a great price. Give them a call. You have nothing to lose. I wish I have switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822. And the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
You've taken your small business far. Nedbank and 702 can help you take it even further.
How important is it that a campaign like Nedbank Business Ignite recognizes not only entrepreneurs but people who solve problems?
It is important because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey. You go through a lot of challenges, and when you do have those victories, there's no one to recognize you. And this competition definitely does that, to recognize the good that the entrepreneurs have done, their achievements. And what we're doing differently this year, we actually decided to touch base with our past winners. We shot a vodcast, and people can go and actually watch those and actually catch up with our past winners to find out what they've done since winning the competition. I mean, my mind was blown in terms of what these guys have achieved.
See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Sorry, what do you mean you very rarely finish a bottle of wine? I'm not sure I completely understand what you're trying to say there. Kim from Benoni.
I'm saying exactly what I'm saying. I almost never finish a bottle of wine. I just don't. And these, wine pumps have been great. They really look. I remember once when I was way younger, we used to believe that if you didn't finish a bottle of bubbly and you put a spoon in the top of the bottle, well, where else could you put it? Of course, stupid point. But you put it in through the neck of the bottle, and then it will retain its fizz. Someone must have drunk the bottles during the night, because we never put it to the test. I don't think that works. 702 Drive, it's 25 minutes past 3. Inexpensive devices that can actually be life changers. This one from Chad, who talks about his Leatherman. Here we go. My useful thing. Leatherman, compact, multi-tool, similar to a Swiss Army knife. What does a Leatherman cost? I have no idea. You can tell that I really am a handyman. This one, Justin, 50 Rand Platinum Milk Frother from Checkers, makes fantastic foam for a cappuccino coffee. Batteries cost more than the frother, but well worth it. Thanks, Justin. Nice one. 26 minutes past 3.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, a very interesting day so far at the trial of Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 others. They are charged with, amongst other things, attempted murder, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The first witness is a security guard by the name of Bethwell Cele, and he's been testifying about a shooting at a golf estate where he was working as a security guard. Let's get an update then from our EWN colleague, Dimakatso Lishoro. Dimakatso, before we go into what Mr. Cele had to say, which was indeed very interesting, yesterday's story seemed to say first witness was going to be the taxi boss, Joe Sibanyoni. Sibanyoni, has that been postponed, or is he perhaps no longer going to testify? Is there any clarity on that? Just briefly on that before we get into today, if you can.
Indeed, yesterday the NPA did confirm to us that Mr. Sibanyoni will be the first witness. He is indeed on the state witness list stated as the first witness. But today we were not told what actually happened. We heard when we came to court that the state would call the witness number 6 on its list. There was no explanation about what happened. In fact, Mr. Sibanyoni was not even in court today, John, so we don't have any clarity as to what happened to that.
Okay, so thank you for that, and I'm sure as soon as there is clarity, you'll share it. We'll hear it on the news bulletin, so we'll definitely get an update on that. Let's get then to Bethwell Cele and ask you this. I mean, he's testifying about an attempt made on Joe Sibanyoni's life. I must admit, my first reaction when I heard that is, what has this got to do with the trial? Because do they stand accused of being involved in that murder, or is this creating context for the actual charges?
Okay, remember, John, the accused faced 25 charges, 11 charges of attempted murder.
Okay.
That includes Joe Sibanyoni. So that is that's actually the first count. So his attempted murder, the current witness, is count number 6. So he's detailing what happened, where he was when the attempt was made on Sibanyoni, which also affected other people who were there, because it seems like the shooters were shooting randomly at people who were at the scene. So we understand that he is a security guard at the Centurion Golf Estate, where we are told that this BMW with its occupants with AK-47 rifles arrived at the gates of the estate and started shooting at this golf, and a Ferrari that we understand that was driven by Joe Sibanyoni. As you know, his nickname is Ferrari.
Right.
So he went into the estate. We haven't gotten to the part about what happened to the occupants of the Ferrari, or what happened to Sibanyoni, how he was shot, because we do know, according to the state's version, that he was actually injured on the day. So currently he's detailed his role as a security, telling us that when these people started shooting, the first shot missed him and they had to run for cover, and then they retaliated because he had a weapon, a 9mm parabellum on him, and he returned fire at the BMW. And he was detailing just how the whole thing happened and how traumatized he was because of that. He says that he shot repeatedly 15 rounds at this BMW until the occupants who were then, fleeing the fire, fled in this BMW, one telling him to die, dog, die, you dog, something to that effect, as they were fleeing. So he says that they were shooting at this golf that was there. We don't know as yet who the occupants in the golf were, but as I say, there are 11 counts of attempted murder. And remember, this case includes 3 main characters, which the state says were targeted by Matlala and his co-accused. These are Joe Sibanyoni, this is Tebogo Tobejane, as well as DJ Vetis. So currently, what the state has put in place is the case with regards to the alleged attempted murder of Joe Sibanyoni.
That's where they're starting. Much, much more to come. Thank you, Dimakatso Lishoro, EWN reporter, covering a complex case and an important one as well. More updates from her as the case unfolds. Just some news. Well, let me rather go to the news headlines, then we can come back on this. It's 3:30. Bali Dlamini with an update on what's going on. A very good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, the health department says officials at Tembisa Hospital who may have aided embattled tender tycoon Hangwani Maumela must also be held accountable. The department was reacting to a High Court order granting the NPA a final forfeiture order against assets belonging to Maumela and his affiliated companies. The order allows the state to permanently seize assets worth 326 million rand from the corruption-accused businessman. The case stems from the Tembisa Hospital corruption scandal in which politically connected business people allegedly secured inflated tenders and contracts worth around 2 billion rand. Nkosikwana Malingamnisi reports.
A final forfeiture order means the assets now belong to the state and will be sold at auction. The assets include luxury beachfront properties in Bantry Bay and Zimbali Estate, at least 4 Lamborghinis and a luxury pontoon boat worth around 2 million rand. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says the order marks a significant milestone in efforts to recover the proceeds of corruption and confiscate assets linked to the brazen looting of Tembisa Hospital. Department spokesperson Foster Mohales says investigators must now move with urgency to ensure everyone implicated in the corruption scheme is brought to book.
The minister is also calling upon law enforcement agencies to complete the job through the arrest and criminal prosecution of Hangwani Maumela and his ilk.
The proceeds from the sale of Maumela's forfeited assets will be channeled back into the Gauteng Department of Health. Or see Malingamnisi Eyewitness News.
There's some concern for drier conditions in South Africa due to the weather phenomenon El Nino, but experts are stopping just short of forecasting a full-blown drought. The ENSO reference group says while drier conditions are not guaranteed, the likelihood is increasing and is expected to strengthen in the coming months. The Science Network also warns El Nino will worsen the effects of global warming and contribute to higher global temperatures. Camry Clark has more.
The El Nino weather system causes temperatures in the eastern Pacific Ocean to become 1 or 2 degrees warmer than normal for reasons that are not yet fully understood. This affects wind patterns and ultimately rainfall in various regions. The ENSO reference group's applied climatologist Peter Johnston says while the effects are not guaranteed, the pattern has already been detected. He warns summer rainfall between September and March is likely to be affected in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, the Northwest, the Free State and Zimbabwe.
There's a very strong possibility of having drier than normal conditions, and some people might describe that as a drought, some people might describe that as a dry period.
Johnston adds, with South Africans used to hot summers, comfort levels are secondary to the threat to water reserves. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
And in Afghanistan, search operations have been disrupted by more heavy rain and warnings of further flooding. Around 100 people are still missing in eastern Afghanistan after flooding smashed through one province, killing at least 23 people. The military has been deployed to the area to support the relief efforts, while the United Nations said it was assessing the disaster. With further rain and storms forecast in multiple provinces, police have warned people to stay away from the rivers. The weather has also affected neighboring Pakistan, where 12 people have been killed. While it's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today, temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees.
Leaving Sandton at this stage, expect some delays on Greyston Drive from Rivonia Road to Catherine. Edenville traffic also sluggish travelling towards Bedfordview. That's the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, the health department says officials at the Tembisa Hospital who may have aided embattled tender tycoon Hangwani Maumela must now also be held accountable.
What is special about this year's 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk is that we actually get to experience the city in a completely different way. So often the city is seen in a negative light, and I feel like the Walk the Talk is going to be breathing new life into the city with people falling in love with it again. You must definitely take part in this year's Walk the Talk because, of course, we often engage across from one another via via the phone, via the WhatsApp line, but this time we actually get to see each other in person, and it is always such a beautiful experience. This year, I am eyeing the 5 kilometer because I saw that route and I said, this should be interesting, but I'll see. I might challenge myself. Let's see. To enter the 702 Jozi, My Jozi Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com or download the app. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see you there.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city on Sunday, 26 July. Join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history, and experience the exciting growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner invested in the future of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be a part of a movement helping to build a stronger, safer, and more vibrant Jozi for generations to come. Register today and take part in the walk that brings Johannesburg together. The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
Ready to buy your dream car, put an offer in on a new house, or take out that personal loan? Make 2026 your year with Postnet and Huru. Visit your nearest Postnet store to get a comprehensive credit report from 4 of SA's leading credit bureaus sent straight to your phone. For only 135 Rand, take charge of your future with a clear picture of your financial position and how to improve it. Why second guess your credit rating when you can be certain? Get your Huru and Kudo credit report at Postnet today. Postnet, helping you succeed.
What's the first name you think of when I say office printers? Nashua, right? We've been supporting businesses with printers for over 50 years. But did you know we also offer other technology to enable your business? From world-class phone systems to PCs and laptops, business-grade internet, and secure cloud storage. All the latest tech to keep your business connected. Nashua. More than print.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate a voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Dr. John. Hope you're well. You know, I wanted to highlight something, right? I'm a parent and my child goes to a public school. And guess what? We haven't received their term 2 reports. Term 2 reports. And apparently some government system that is not working. I think this is so unacceptable. Yeah, I find it very, very unacceptable, really. So maybe can someone come in and tell us what is the problem? Who did government not pay?
John, the most useful and cheap gadgets you can ever have are cable ties. Leanne Sachs from Pretoria.
Hi, John. Inexpensive and most valuable item for me, it's probably a pen. It has to be a pen. I use it quite often in my line of work, in my everyday life. I find it very useful, and yeah, I cannot live without it. Dumelo Chadi from Boksburg.
So John, here's a conundrum. So we got married, and what they used to call it was trucive. So my wife had lots of the, what you call now, original Tupperware. So we used to collect it, and we used to entertain quite a bit. And then we used to say, okay, you can take some food home afterwards as a scuffed in, and then the people say, yes, we'll bring your Tupperware back. Tupperware never returned. So the best thing that I ever did, which was the cheapest option, was I used to buy these styrofoam things where you go and go to a shop and you get like those white styrofoam containers. And I actually stopped her from actually giving away Tupperware because it started becoming too expensive to continually top up your Tupperware at these Tupperware parties. So yeah, that started working for me.
Yeah, lots of good advice there. Cable ties. Yep, I agree with those. Very, very useful indeed. Things that don't cost much, that are actually quite boring if you think about it. It's not as if you're going to spend a lot of time deliberating over the color or the design, but you just decide these are seriously useful devices. By the way, Vivette sends this for Jonathan, says, please warn Kabazela, not all glassware containers are safe for microwave use. They have to be BPA free. I'll have to Google what BPA is, unless somebody wants to just help me out. Drop me a note. What is BPA and why should we avoid it? Please let me know. 18 minutes now to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, 64-team World Cup. I don't know if there's been an official announcement from FIFA, but people are saying, yep, this is happening.
Absolutely, John. And it's the president of Common Ball who's taken to social media to confirm that the 2030 FIFA World Cup will be a 64-team tournament as the tournament celebrates its centenary. The 2030 event will be hosted by Spain, Morocco and Portugal, and there'll be 3 centenary matches played in Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay. FIFA have yet to officially confirm the news, but President Gianni Infantino said earlier this month that the organization will discuss expanding the men's tournament to 64 teams after the 2026 World Cup. On the continent, CAF is gearing up to host the delayed Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which gets underway on Sunday with a clash between Algeria and Senegal. South Africa take on Tanzania in their first game on Monday, and Karabo Dlamini has discussed the significance of a good campaign for Banyana Banyana.
I think with this one, everyone is ready because we know how big this one it is. It's not just winning it, but it's also to qualify for the World Cup next year. Yes, sometimes such things do happen. We tried our best. We made it to the semis, but it didn't happen the way we wanted. But I think this time around, we know what we must do, and I think everyone is ready to give 100%.
Jan-Hendrik Wessels admits he's enjoying playing a utility role for the Springboks in his 3 appearances during the Nations Championship test. Wessels was named as the reserve hooker for the tests against England and Scotland. That's before he was selected as loose head prop replacement for last week's victory over Wales.
Playing loose head, scrum Wednesday on loose head, trained the whole week on loose head. Most of my games at the Bulls was on loose head. I think the same with hooker. The England game I didn't play hooker, so I went on loose head. The Scottish game I went on prop first. I think maybe just to calm the nerves a bit and just get comfortable with the tempo of the game, and then maybe later move to hooker. So no, I think I quite enjoy it. The whole management and the coaching staff, they really make it comfortable through the week that I'm prepared on Saturday.
And Australia captain Pat Cummins, along with Josh Hazelwood and Nathan Lyon, have returned from injury to be included in a 13-man squad for next month's 2-test home series against Bangladesh. The trio were named for the matches which form part of the World Test Championship cycle, having played only 3 tests between them during the Ashes. Cummins, Hazelwood, Lyon and Mitchell Starc have not bowled together since the West Indies tour a year ago. That's due to various injuries. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes now to 4 o'clock. We already have some delays in Sandton. Let's get details about that. Karabo Charlie, and let's also find out what's happening in other parts of Gauteng. Good afternoon.
Yeah, leaving Sandton at this stage, heading towards the M1. Expect delays on Greyston Drive. This is between Rivonia Road and Catherine. Also, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is traveling towards Bedford View, Edenvale, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. In Bursley, Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Modafontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Malibongo Drive and President Fushia. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, Tolakele. Very good afternoon to you once again. We are talking about things that we buy for our households or our personal use in some way, shape or form. It doesn't have to be something you use at home. That is quite boring. You don't bother worrying about what color it is unless you're particularly particular about the color of your cable ties. for example, and somewhat inexpensive, pretty inexpensive, but actually does a wonderful job of something. So have you got something like that in mind? Good afternoon again.
For me, it's my frother. I make my coffees, sometimes my smoothies when I just want to make them look really, really fancy. I think it's 60 rand to get one, and all it needs is just batteries that you can replace every few months. So it's inexpensive. It's a fun little thing when my friends are over and I'm like, let me make you guys a cute cocktail. Then I froth it up for them and it looks really cute.
Okay, so we've got 2 votes for a cappuccino, and it's just for cappuccino, huh?
That's what they sell it at the shop. Me, I use it for other things as well, not just my cappuccino.
Okay, so it's a frother of general application. Okay, keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702. Still to come on 702 Drive. We're going to be getting an update on what's been happening at the Madlanga Commission. It's still going on, by the way. Currently giving evidence and being questioned is Advocate Andrea Johnson, who is the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption. It's a very, very important position. It is an issue that has been raised in the Madlanga Commission already with other people giving evidence. And yeah, it's quite an intense session from what I can see. The other bit of news that we want to share with you is many of you followed with interest. We certainly did the Western Cape High Court looking into the application for an interdict against that parliamentary committee investigating Phala Phala. That interdict requested, of course, by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Judgment was reserved. Well, put this in your diary, Friday at 10 a.m. That's when judgment will be delivered by the 3 judges of the Western Cape High Court who are hearing the matter. So another very, very important development later in the news cycle here on 702. After 5 o'clock, we're going to be talking to South African women's hockey player Untatile Tati Zulu. She published a statement earlier, I think it was, in fact, last week, where she responded to what she calls sports tourism. And the sports tourism she was referring to, I think we can all safely assume, was the around 31 million rand spent by the Ministry of Sport, Arts and Culture on taking a large delegation to the World Cup in Mexico in mitigation or certainly in defense of the decision and the actions taken. Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie said that some of the money was put up by sponsors, but he also said that the money the department spent was money well spent. Well, Untatile Zulu, I think, begs to differ and is raising this in the context of both the men's and women's field hockey teams in South Africa that have a World Cup in Belgium in August, and they're having to scratch together some cash. They are crowdfunding, and at the moment, each player is required to put up 68,000 rand as contribution towards expenses like meals and travel and physiotherapists' equipment. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, but we'll talk to her after 5 o'clock. It's 11 minutes to 4.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention on a matter that I must admit I'm not entirely clear on what's going on. Many of you will know the advocate Daniel Malisela Tefu. He was a prominent figure for a long period of time in the early years of the Senzo Muyiwa murder trial. He then found himself in certain difficulties in regard to the various bodies that regulate the practicing of law in South Africa. And a recent disciplinary hearing, which he's been involved in, seems to have acquitted him of a number of the things he was accused. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that he is automatically readmitted as a practicing advocate. As I said, I'm not entirely sure of how this works, but here's somebody who knows exactly what's going on. Advocate Machini Mutlung is president of the Law Society of South Africa. Very good afternoon to you, and thanks very much for giving us your time. If we could take a step back before we look at the way forward, what exactly was the hearing that Advocate Tifo was participating in, where it would seem there's been some kind of acquittal? What exactly was that hearing, and what was its status? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. Look, just to put it in proper context and succinctly, Mr. Tifo was he appeared in a court of law in a criminal matter, and he was criminally charged, and there were 6 counts that he faced. So he then was acquitted on all these 6 criminal charges. So it would then mean that the acquittal was established only within the context that the state did not prove those particular criminal charges beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, but were any of those 6 charges related to, or in any much more direct way, amongst the reasons why he was no longer able to practice as an advocate? Is there a factual connection between the two, even if there may not be a legal one?
Look, in the event that the those charges are linked, what would ordinarily happen is that in the event that the allegations overlap, that would not necessarily and automatically extinguish the striking off order or restore the professional status. So there could be overlap, but in the main, you'll appreciate that he was removed from the role or struck off the role relating to charges of professional misconduct. And these misconduct charges emanated from at least 22 complaints received by the Legal Practice Council. And that on its own will tell you that albeit there is an acquittal on 6 charges, but we are talking here of 22 complaints upon which misconduct charges were laid, which led to his striking off. That on itself will tell you that the acquittal itself cannot automatically be deemed to exonerate him from the striking off order.
So when there is a striking off process, does that have to be confirmed in a court of law? Is that the way the process works?
Yes, look, what happens ordinarily is that there is a complaint from a member of the public or whoever that complains against a legal practitioner, which would then lead to the Legal Practice Council investigating the matter through its investigations committee. And the investigations committee, if it were to then find any evidence of a professional misconduct or wrongdoing, it will then recommend disciplinary action or proceedings, which would lead to disciplinary committee being set up. And that disciplinary committee, once it has pronounced on the misconduct itself, and depending on the gravity of the misconduct, the disciplinary committee will make a recommendation for a striking off. Then an application will be launched with at the High Court where the legal practitioner resides or practices, and then the matter will be argued in court before judges, and an order of striking off will then be issued by the court after having heard or listened to the arguments from the Legal Practice Council. And in this instance, he opposed the application for striking off. So he was party. It was not granted in default. He was party.
Yes.
And then he was struck off on the basis of a recommendation from the disciplinary committee of the Legal Practice Council.
So, in terms of what's happened now in the courts, I'm still not entirely clear as to who then ruled. Give me a clearer sense, if you can, Advocate Motlung, of what the status is, and you may dispute the factuality of this, but the acquittal of the 6 charges that he faced, of which he was found guilty. What are those charges and what is their status in this matter? As you can probably gather, I'm still trying to get my head around all these different structures involved and their standing.
Look, I will just talk to the standing of these charges, particularly, and the standing of the criminal acquittal, particularly on the basis that now can he be deemed to have been exonerated from the charges that led to him being struck off. So he may, with this criminal acquittal obviously may be relevant to any future applications that he may elect to bring. So that will be an application for readmission as an advocate. And particularly, I said, if such allegations overlap. However, it does not automatically extinguish the striking off order or restore his professional status. So that is quite very important, because the two processes are different and they serve different purposes and apply different legal tests. That is the criminal acquittal and the readmission to legal practice.
Thank you very much, Advocate Machini Mutlung, who is president of the Law Society of South Africa. Anyone with thoughts on that, or perhaps some more clarifying elements that you want to throw into the mix? As you can probably gather, I was sort of struggling to get my head around all these details, but do give us a call on that if you can shed some more light. 011-883-0702. We thank Advocate Mutlung for his time.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Who checks if ineligible officials or politicians have vacated the properties they were once able to use?
Department officials will be responsible for that. But as you know, that system has broken down. We have many incidences where former politicians, where former judges, etc., still remain in these properties, which is why when the minister entered the portfolio, a number of court cases has been launched to try and get those people to vacate those properties.
You have to sue them to get them out?
Unfortunately, that's the extent to which the system has broken down to.
What are some of the more egregious examples?
There's another matter of former MPs in Acacia Village that has refused to vacate their property since they have lost their membership.
Who's that MP?
I think it's about 6 individuals, and I don't have the names right in front of me at this moment.
James de Villiers, spokesperson for the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Imagine what 25,000 Rand could do for your business. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving business owners the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Whether you own a beauty salon, a retail store, run your own guest house, or any other business, this is for you. Visit primemediaplus.com. Tell us the boldest move you've made in your business. Then get an obligation-free business insurance quote from Budget Business Insurance. We could call you this Friday to fuel your next big move. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Your next transaction could win you a brand new Mazda 2. As proud partners of 702's Walk the Talk, ABSA and Mazda are putting Josie in the driver's seat. Download, register and transact on the ABSA banking app between 26 June and 20 July 2026 to qualify. The winners will be announced on race day. ABSA is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Competition terms and conditions and minimum spend apply.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
More million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know that
total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000. Listen carefully. 4,152,822. And the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
This is EWN.
Andrea Johnson moves to avoid self-incrimination at Madlanga Commission, and Witness K's lawyer claims she's innocent in the gemstone case. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has invoked her right not to incriminate herself at the Madlanga Commission. This was in relation to allegations that she leaked a police docket to Crime Intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. The docket related to a case of assault and intimidation opened by a female officer against Khan in July of 2018 was being investigated. Tabiso Koba reports.
In an affidavit dated July 10, IDEC head Andrea Johnson says allegations that she leaked police dockets to Crime Intelligence top cop Feroz Khan are vague and unsupported by particulars. On the same day she wrote the affidavit, Witness O testified before the Madlanga Commission and provided an email showing Johnson leaking the dockets to Khan. Johnson submitted a supplementary affidavit to the Commission yesterday where she invokes Section 35 of the Constitution, which guarantees the rights against self-incrimination.
I hold the view that the Commission's fact-finding mandate does not override my constitutional protection against self-incrimination under any circumstances.
Johnson says the matter is now before the NPA and is awaiting a decision on whether she should be prosecuted. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Despite confessing at the Madlanga Commission to stealing gemstones worth nearly 15 million rand, Witness K's lawyer now claims that his client is innocent. Witness K, a JMPD officer, and suspended EMPD chief Julius Mkwanazi were each granted 5,000 rand bail today. They were arrested last week. The duo is accused of orchestrating the theft of precious stones from a Killarney apartment in 2023, although Witness K voluntarily disclosed her alleged involvement during testimony before the Madlanga Commission recently. Her lawyer, Oscar Tobachale, argues that she did not commit a crime.
Everybody must be presumed innocent until proven guilty by court of law. And when it comes to criminal procedure, the state must prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt without the assistance of the accused. So at this juncture, I can safely say my client is innocent.
The Johannesburg High Court has denied the state's bid to introduce video footage as evidence in the attempted murder trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused. The footage, allegedly captured by a bank near the entrance to a Centurion Golf estate, was challenged by the defense over its authenticity today. It's understood the footage was taken in 2022 when taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni was allegedly targeted in a shooting. Matlala, his wife Tsakane, and 3 others face a combined 25 charges linked to 3 separate alleged assassination attempts. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
Counsel for accused number 1, Advocate Rian Kheseng, led the objection to the admission of the footage, arguing it had not been independently authenticated. The objection was supported by legal representatives of all 5 accused, who submitted that allowing the video into evidence before its authenticity had been verified would prejudice their clients.
It will already be on record. It can very well contaminate the record, and to at the later stage decide that this evidence that we provisionally allowed is now disregarded. I think, with great respect, my submission is not appropriate, not in terms of the law.
During cross-examination, the state's first witness, security guard Nzamo Cele, testified that he only viewed the footage after making his initial statement to police. Judge Kasim Musa upheld the defense's objection and refused the state's application to admit the video. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
South Africa has secured an estimated 25 billion rand development policy loan from the World Bank to support key infrastructure reforms. The loan agreement is intended to help accelerate reforms in the country's electricity, freight and logistics and water and sanitation sectors. These are areas government says are critical to removing constraints on economic growth as well as job creation, Anelita Fandese reports.
National Treasury says the financing represents the fourth development policy loan between South Africa and the World Bank and forms part of government's broader structural reform agenda to address persistently low economic growth and high unemployment. Treasury says the loan is anchored on three key pillars: strengthening energy security and competitiveness, improving freight transport services, and delivering more efficient water and sanitation services. The reforms align with government's ongoing efforts under Operation Vulindlela, which seeks to improve the performance of key network industries and attract greater private sector investment. Treasury is expected to provide further details on how the reforms will be implemented. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in Macedonia, contaminated drinking water has sparked a mass poisoning outbreak, leaving hundreds of people sick in the north of that nation. Investigators say the water was contaminated after pumps were installed in a nearby wastewater canal during pressure testing. This allowed polluted water to enter the main supply for weeks. Tests found dangerously high levels of coliform bacteria commonly found in feces. 3 people are under investigation, while the local water company's director and 2 employees have been arrested. Both temperatures soaring above 35 degrees Celsius. Residents have now been told to drink bottled water, and government is delivering around 50,000 litres of clean water each day. Gold is trading at $4,058.21 an ounce. The rand is at 16.45 to the dollar, 22.03 to the pound, 18.76 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.75 a barrel.
In the Joburg CBD, there's an accident seen on the M2 westbound that's onto the M1 north, causing delays approaching the Crown interchange. Leaving Sandton, expect some delays on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine. And in Benoni, accident seen on Atlas Road, that's at Mercury Street, causing heavy delays from the N12.
A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 7 and 24, and Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: head of the investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has invoked her right not to incriminate herself at the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up over the next hour or so, we're going to be talking to Thabiso Goba, our EWN reporter, Andrea Johnson, the advocate, who heads the Independent Directorate Against Corruption as part of the National Prosecuting Authority, is currently on the stand at the Madlanga Commission. It's been a very, very interesting session indeed. Obviously, while we've been on air, I haven't been listening, but never fear. Thabiso Goba, our EWN reporter, has been keeping a close ear and eye on all of this. He's going to be joining us shortly to tell us what's happened so far. I don't know if they are adjourning for the day or just adjourning for tea, but just out of session now. We'll find out from Thabiso shortly whether they're coming back. South African schools are losing teachers at a very much faster rate than they can be replaced. Lots of vacancies all over the country. The highest level of vacancies, as I understand it, actually in the Western Cape. But the other problem is an increasing number of our teachers are heading for retirement age. So is there a crisis looming? Can that crisis be headed off? We'll talk about it in more detail at 10 to 5. But if you've been a teacher and you've retired or resigned, in other words, not because you reached the age of retirement, because you thought, actually, this isn't for me. Maybe you've got a story you want to tell, and maybe have you contemplated doing teaching as a profession and decided against it or decided for it? Let's get an enriched conversation about this, going way beyond our guest, from those of you who are actually out in that field and know something about it. Please call me with your stories and your thoughts on 072 702 1702. After 5, we'll talk to a member of the South African women's hockey team. Untatile Zulu is raised in a very powerful way, I think, with social media postings. Her concerns, her significant concerns about the fact that, in her view, in the space of abundant funds for what she calls sports tourism, i.e. The large number of people who are taken by the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture, partly using public money, partly fundraising for it, taking over 70 people to the World Cup in Mexico. By contrast, she says she is required to put up around 68,000 rand to cover the very basics of her and her teammates' trip to compete in the World Cup in Belgium in August. So that interview with Untatile Zulu coming up after 5 o'clock, but you may want to comment on that issue as well. It's 11 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. I might be late to join. Sorry about that. But if it's worth anything, I'd like to give my contribution. The, without a doubt, cheapest thing that is very valuable has to be a key holder. That is my opinion, but it might as well be a fact. A key holder.
Good afternoon, John. The confusion around Advocate Lisiba Jeffo is caused by him, Advocate Jeffo himself. Because in all podcasts that I've seen him speaking, he believes he's not struck off the roll, even though the facts indicate otherwise. He believes he's still an advocate, and then nothing has changed. Gabriel Pretoria.
Yeah, thanks for adding that particular layer to that conversation. Keep those coming on 072 702 1702, 12 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays in the Joburg CBD. I'm not sure exactly well, but Karabo Chale will guide you through that.
Yeah, that's in the Joburg CBD on the M2 westbound. There's an accident scene as you get onto the M1 north, causing delays approaching the Crown interchange. Leaving Sandton, also expect some delays on Greyston Drive from Rivonia Road to Catherine. In Protea Glen, Soweto, bumper traffic on the R559. That is main road opposite GOG Gardens. In Benoni, there's an accident scene on Atlas Road. That's near Mercury Street, causing heavy delays from the N12. Still in Ekurhuleni, Edenvale, heading towards Bedford View. Traffic sluggish R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Gilulis interchange. In Bursley, Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and Vickers. Moving to Tshwane, there's an accident scene. This is in Erasmus Kloof on the N1 southbound near Rigel Avenue, causing heavy delays all the way from Linwood Road. Also traveling through Centurion, accident scene N14 northbound near Jean Avenue, slowing down traffic. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
30 minutes doom scrolling goes by quickly, but 30 minutes stuck in traffic feels like a lifetime. Thankfully, the Outsurance pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The Outsurance pointsmen helping everyone get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So when we are referring to digital wallets, we're referring to something like a PayPal?
Yeah, something like that. Somewhere where you can store digital value, kind of pre-fund it, and then use it whatever you want.
Why this is a positive thing, having digital wallets?
Sure, the Bank of International Settlements did a study where they said that for every 1% of your population that goes onto a digital wallet or becomes digitally active, the GDP raises by 0.1%. And so it's a really positive thing to have digital wallets. And, you know, if you look at all the big banks are kind of winning the top of the market, but banks largely serve people who already bank.
Paul Winburn, product manager at Eccentric Payment Systems.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
On Sunday, 26 July, celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city. At the finish line of 702, Jozi Ma Jozi, walk the talk, Babize Bonke. Because this epic walk through the inner city all comes together with some of Jozi's favorite artists, such as Babawa M, Lebza De Villain, Thi Buhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line for an afternoon of fun and relaxation. The 702 Jozi Ma Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Do you know what our problem is?
We have a problem?
You're a little clingy.
Clingy?
Every time I start getting somewhere, you want me.
But I need you.
You can't have all of me. I need a little room to grow.
So what are you saying?
Put me in a Nedbank 32-day notice account. Give me some time. I'll come back better. Open a Nedbank 32-day notice account on the Money app and bank your money this July savings month. Go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Jolly from Boertersig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side, for appearances. Of course. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, a very interesting day at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry so far. Advocate Andrea Johnson, who heads the Independent Directorate Against Corruption, has been appearing. Previous witnesses have raised questions about the way she's gone about her work. Looks like they're not sitting now. I don't know if we're done for the day or whether, in fact, we are going to be resuming after a tea break. Here's a man who knows. Thabiso Goba, EWN reporter. Thabiso, a very good afternoon to you. Not sure if there's more to come today, but what have we heard so far? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. No, we just adjourned for the day, so there's nothing more to come. I think, obviously, John, the major big talking point that has come from the Madlanga Commission today is Andrea Johnson, the head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, also known as IDAC, invoking her right not to self-incriminate herself. Now, this relates to allegations that she leaked a police docket to Feroz Khan, the deputy head of crime intelligence, regarding an ongoing criminal investigation against Mr. Khan. Now, the timeline here, John, is something I just have to be very careful about, and I hope people will be able to follow. So it starts on July 2018. Mr. Feroz Khan allegedly assaults and intimidates a subordinate. It's a fellow female crime intelligence officer. Now, that crime intelligence officer then opens a case of assault and intimidation against Mr. Khan. She submits even medical records showing where she's injured and stuff. And what happened there, John, is that before the police could get a statement from Mr. Khan, Andrea Johnson, who was a senior prosecutor at the time, allegedly leaked those documents to Mr. Khan. There was a witness O who testified at the Madlanga Commission. She couldn't be identified. She's a crime intelligence officer who only came as witness O. Now, witness O testified at the Madlanga Commission that she was given a phone call by Mr. Khan, and in this phone call there was someone who identified herself as Andrea, and Andrea said, "I'm going to send you an email. This email, you need to show it to Mr. Khan, and then afterwards you need to delete that email." And in that email, that this person who identified herself as Andrea contained documents, all those dockets relating to that case of assault and intimidation that was opened against Mr. Khan. So the allegation here, John, is that Mrs. Johnson interfered in the investigation against Khan, but also tried to help him by giving him the evidence that the police had against him, so that when the time comes for the police to get a statement from him, then he knows what the police have and he can tell his statements to obviously save himself. So that's what was submitted by Witness O. But now the interesting thing, John, is that Mrs. Andrea Johnson, on the 10th of July, she submitted a statement to the Madlanga Commission. She said in the statement that these allegations that she leaked documents to Mr. Feroz Khan were unsubstantiated. Now, the interesting thing, John, is that on the 10th of July is the same day that Witness O testified. So when Andrea Johnson sort of dismissed these allegations, she hadn't heard the testimony of Witness O, and she hadn't heard that Witness O actually had an email that suggests or proves that Mrs. Andrea Johnson did leak these dockets to Feroz Khan. So what then she did today is that she submitted a third supplementary affidavit. This affidavit was submitted yesterday to the Madlanga Commission, which basically in this affidavit she now says she's invoking her right not to self-incriminate herself. So on the 10th of July, she basically dismisses these allegations. She hears the testimony of Witness O. She hears that Witness O has evidence in the form of an email. And then yesterday, she just says then she has the right not to incriminate herself and that she cannot answer questions regarding this matter of the leak because she fears that she might incriminate herself. So that's the timeline, John. I hope I wasn't too winded.
No. I mean, it's important detail, Tabiso, and thank you for that. Do in general, and perhaps it's not possible to generalize, but is Advocate Johnson disputing the facts that have been put before the commission, or is she disputing the interpretation of the facts? Because there would be different strategies, and they would, I would think, require different certain levels of proof.
Well, at the moment, John, she's not disputing anything. She just says that she can't answer anything because she's been told that this matter is now with the NPA. It's with the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Director of Public Prosecutions needs to make a decision on whether she's going to be prosecuted or not regarding this leak of obviously confidential dockets. And she says that now that this matter, obviously, I might get prosecuted for it, then I can't say anything to the commission because I might incriminate myself. There was a bit of back and forth, John. You'll understand that commission of inquiries, that witnesses are compelled to answer questions that are put to them. But then obviously that compelling rights or responsibility to answer questions is then also juxtaposed with the rights of the Constitution, Section 35 of the Constitution, which guarantees everyone in the country the right not to self-incriminate. So there was a big back and forth in terms of how those two sort of contradictory legislations can be read together, but then there was an understanding that both the commission evidence leaders and Ms. Andrea Johnson, they're going to sleep on it tonight, and then maybe tomorrow there might be an understanding on what she can testify about and what she can't testify about.
Thank you so much. Tabiso Gorba updating us on what's happened so far today at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, appearing the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption. That's Advocate Andrea Johnson. They finished for today. They'll be back at it again tomorrow. 702 Drive, 24 minutes past 4.
in the last 24 hours. This is what's happened in your world.
Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has recused herself from the unit's cases involving senior SAPS crime intelligence officers due to conflict of interest. Last year, IDEC charged the head of crime intelligence, Dumsani Khumalo, along with several other officers from his department with fraud and corruption. IDEC accused the officers of colluding to unlawfully hire an inexperienced person to a senior position within crime intelligence. The case has been a subject of contention before the Commission, with allegations that IDEC pursued it due to political influence.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring CTICC, the Cape Town International Convention Centre. Their CEO, Taubi Mutlabane, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Like my gorgeous Greek-style chicken, juicy, herby and done in 30. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Still to come on the show at 10 to 5, we'll be chatting to Professor Zaid Wahid. He's in the Faculty of Education at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. The issue at stake, are we running out of teachers in the public service in South Africa? The numbers would suggest high levels of vacancies. The numbers that reflect the demographic of our teaching cohort in public schools would suggest that many of them are headed for retirement sooner rather than later. A crisis looms. Can we head it off? We'll talk about that in about 23 minutes' time. 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critis, a very good afternoon to you. What's happened today on the market so far?
Good afternoon to you, John. Things kind of flat on the JSE, really. Brent crude is edging higher, and that's obviously a big concern for us. That's also, I think, having an impact on the currency, which is a little bit weaker. And generally, that just kind of makes the picture a little more gloomy. There have been one or two strong updates today, so I think that's helping one or two companies. But the ore share is down 0.01%, 108,928 points, so flat. Financials down 0.05, industrials down 1.35, resources are up 1.74, gold and platinum slightly higher, and that's had a bit of an impact, obviously, as you can imagine. Looking at the actual companies themselves, you can see that South 32 is up 5.68. They had a strong update yesterday, and they were up quite strongly then, and I think the market just still digesting that. Harmony's up nearly 4%, and Sibanye-Stillwater up 3.62, while some of the gold and platinum miners are all up really quite strongly. Life Healthcare is also up nearly 2%, and Anglo actually up 1.94%. Aspen, though, the pharmaceutical company, down 6.25%, and Kumba down 5.2%. Now, Kumba Iron Ore saying today Heavy rains had a big impact on their operations. It pushed their total production for the year to the end of June 3% lower. Strong performance at Sishen, lower production at Kolomele, and that meant that sales volumes were down 1% as well because of Transnet maintenance shutdowns. But the other thing that's happened, John, is that in the previous year, Transnet had to give them a big once-off payment. That's affected EBITDA this period, and as a result, headline earnings are going to be down by around 40%. So a big impact on them. PHP's down 4.3%, and then Process and Naspeth both down by around 3%, while some of the consumer companies, so Mr. Price, Truworths, Italtel, the Foschini Group, all down quite significantly on the day. Sasol reporting their operations at Secunda, their highest production in 5 years, John. They exceeded market guidance, mainly because of the implementation of, it's my favorite project in business, the de-stoning project. I mean, a stiff cup of coffee for some people, but a de-stoning project which basically improves the quality of your coal. The Natref refinery also had a strong quarter. Their liquid fuel sales for the period were higher as well in the full year to the end of June. And then, of course, higher refining margins. John, we're going to see a lot of this because when you look at diesel in particular, refining capacity is really the big issue at the moment. In the US, the main indices opening higher. Semiconductor shares recovering. Also, lots of tech earnings coming through. So people looking just to see what's happening with AI, aren't we all? The Dow Jones is up 0.63. The Nasdaq is up 0.71. The S&P 500 is up 0.46%. The gold price at the moment is at where are we now? 6. That can't be right. 4,000, getting my currencies muddled up, 4,067 Rand, 58 cents an ounce. Platinum is $1,631.65, and Brent crude, $91.13, John. We'll talk more about this on the Money Show because that's really going to be the issue, I think, that is going to basically define whether our economy grows or not. The rand to the dollar, 16.47. You can see how much weaker it is. To the pound, 22.05, and to the euro, 18.80. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news now with Mbali Dlamini at 29 minutes to 5. Mbali, what's happening?
Well, John, a very good afternoon. The Health Products Regulatory Authority has raised concern over the sale of counterfeit medication. In some instances, fake medicine is being accessed from spaza shops and via social media. These include antibiotics and medication for weight loss, pain, and even HIV. SAPRA says what makes counterfeit medication especially risky is that it looks completely genuine with convincing packaging and prices that may seem like a good deal. The authority's Mohadi Fafudi stresses the importance of only getting medicine through authorized healthcare providers as well as trusted channels.
This is up to the consumers now to know that this is their health. So education and awareness is what we want to focus on, to want the people to say that be careful of your own health and also seek remedies from healthcare professionals in healthcare facilities. So those are the key messages that we are sending to people.
Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa says partnering with the private sector can go a long way in addressing the funding challenges facing the department. Holomisa says the partnerships are a viable model to plug the funding gap in the department and the sector, but he insists that teaming up with the private sector is not a form of privatization. Holomisa was addressing the Defence Lekgotla, which is currently underway at the CSIR International Convention Centre in Pretoria.
When I speak about public-private partnership, I am not speaking about selling off the assets of the Department of Defense. I am not speaking about selling military land to the highest bidder. I am speaking about using a lawful, transparent, and carefully structured instrument to mobilize private capital and expertise in areas where this can assist the state.
And in Germany, a report is warning that artificial intelligence is now playing a growing role in child sex abuse. According to the report, criminal abusers are shifting their crimes to the digital realm. AFP is reporting that a total of 20,051 minors were victims of sexual abuse in 2025. The Interior Ministry in Germany says these figures are alarmingly high, but they do not take into account a high volume of unreported cases that could significantly exceed what is seen in these statistics. A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 21 and 24.
Joburg CBD accident scene M2 westbound onto the M1 north, causing some delays approaching the Crown interchange in Sunninghill. You can also expect heavy delays on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell Drive in Erasmus Park, Pretoria. Accident scene N1 south near Rigel Avenue, causing heavy delays all the way from Linwood Road.
The top story in EWN, the Health Products Regulatory Authority has raised concern over the sale of counterfeit medication.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Public protector has come out to say the problem is that the municipalities don't have capacity to investigate and watch over, I suppose, the operations of spaza shops as they prepare food and sell food. Of course, if all of these months were spent to get to that conclusion, what we need to know is who is to be held accountable for that. Children died, and we're told, no, it's because of a system failure. Really?
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that Outsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0600 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In the 1960s, Douglas Engelbart had a thought. What if you could jump from one idea to another with just a click? That question led him to pioneer how hypertext would work. And this laid the foundation of how we navigate the internet today. See, whether you're reinventing the future or building something new, you need the right foundations to start. At Ex-Nilo, we give you the right foundation to host your big idea. Ex-Nilo, trusted in hosting.
Polar Ice Cream is bringing the lollies and all the jollies to the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Whether you're walking for fitness, for fun, or for a cause close to your heart, Polar is there to cheer you on and celebrate those special Polar moments at the finish line. From the much-loved Milky Pie and Sandwich Wafer to the unforgettable Blue Tongue Bubblegum favorite, there's a treat waiting for everyone. Make every step count and reward yourself with a Polar Ice Cream at the finish. Polar Ice Cream. Share the happiness.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John and 702 listeners. Listening at Tabiso Goba explaining what happened at the commission, it becomes evident or obvious to one that Advocate Johnson has already incriminated herself. For them to say they'll sleep over it and see what is going to happen tomorrow, one can only expect that there will be fireworks tomorrow because those guys at Madlanga Commission, those commissioners are on fire. So more episode tomorrow, but as it stands, I think the advocate has already incriminated herself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, John, on the story of the teachers leaving or retiring early, that is very, very true. We have witnessed it a lot. And most teachers are leaving not only because they are tired, it's only because of the kids. The kids are ill-disciplined. There's nothing that teachers can tell these kids anymore because even when the teachers, they are trying to talk to the kids and discipline them, these teachers, they get fired because most of the kids these days, they go to school drunk. Others, they smoke dagga. Others, they don't do their homework, things like that. So most teachers, they are leaving their careers early. Most of them, they are taking early retirement. I've seen a lot up to now.
Hello, Dr. John. On the topic of shortage of teachers, I'm an ex-government employee myself, and due to challenges and frustrations and non-ending complaints and you name it, I decided to venture into the private sector. And to add on that, today I had to visit the Department of Education to ask for my statement of results. That was, in fact, I went yesterday and today, John.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And particularly enjoy hearing from people who have been teachers before. I'm interested to know if there's anyone out there who's actually, by the way, training to be a teacher, particularly if you are younger, and will help to lower the average age of our teaching cohort in the country. As I said, we'll look at an answer given by Basic Education Minister Sibiwe Gwaguba. She was questioned in Parliament. There are 17,450 vacancies. Currently, that was for the end of January 2026. The highest vacancy rate, the Western Cape, 11%, Northern Cape, 10%, and Limpopo at 8%. More on that coming up in about 10 minutes' time.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, we focused a lot on Bafana, Banyana with some big tasks ahead.
Absolutely, John. And the 2027 FIFA World Cup qualification is on the line for Banyana as they begin their WAFCON campaign. South Africa will kick off their tournament on Monday against Tanzania, while Nkolo Xesana says this year's edition is a chance at redemption, having failed to impress during the 2024 games.
Last WAFCON, whatever that happened, and I think they learned a lot. I think it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be challenging. Too much pressure, but I think we can deal with that. Yeah, every team is going to go there to fight, man. So that's how tough it will be.
Winger Chandre Campbell has completed a permanent move from Club Brugge to KV Kortrijk on a contract until 2030. Campbell was part of the Bafana squad at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, but he didn't play. The 21-year-old joined Brugge from SuperSport United at the start of the 2024-25 season, and he made 18 appearances for the first team, but only one of those was from the start. In the Bedway Premiership, TS Galaxy have confirmed that Bernard Parker will coach the team this season. That's after he was placed in the role on an interim basis following the sacking of Adnan Begovic. He took charge of the Rockets' last 6 fixtures, winning 1, drawing 4, and losing the Nedbank Cup final to Durban City. And after that game, Parker had said he wasn't ready to take on the job full-time, but has now changed his mind.
I felt that it's coming too early because I feel like I still need a lot of school fees to pay in terms of becoming the head coach. But then with the type of experience that I have and the type of people that I have around me that help me, the same with the chairman, it's giving me the blessing. I said, why not? As brave as I am, as confident as I am, as spiritually connected as I am, I believe that I have to take this opportunity and make sure I make the best of it. And I'm definitely confident that I will make the best of it.
And former MotoGP champion Fabio Quartararo will race for Honda in the 2027 season after signing a 2-year deal. The Frenchman joined Yamaha in 2019 and has enjoyed the most successful spell of his career, claiming 11 race wins and also securing the MotoGP World Championship in 2021. Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 18 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, Sunninghill is now our latest trouble spot, yeah?
Yeah, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. This is in the Sunninghill area on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell Drive due to ongoing roadworks. Protea Lane, bumper traffic on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens, while in Ekurhuleni Pinoni, we're still dealing with that accident scene on Atlas Road. This is heading towards Mercury Street, causing heavy delays from the N12. In Sunwood Park, there's slow-moving traffic on the N17 eastbound approaching Rondebold, while in Erasmus Kloof, this is Pretoria, there's an accident scene on the N1 southbound near Rigel Avenue, causing massive delays from Linwood Road. Still in Tshwane, Centurion, there's an accident scene as well on the N14 northbound near Rigel Avenue, slowing down traffic. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever excuses for being late, number 96. My dog ran out and I had to chase him for 5 kilometers. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So on this day back in 2019, Ed Sheeran was having, he had been having a problem with his neighbors. They kept saying that there was too much noise coming from his house. And I don't know if it was because he was recording music or playing music or he was a party animal or whatever, but they just felt that he was a neighbor from hell and he made too much racket. And, I don't know if they said Ed who, or they said, we love your music, we don't like your extracurricular noise. But this is how he solved the problem. He bought the houses. He bought 2 houses next door. His own place was worth £19.8 million. That's a lot of rand, and was a lot of rand in those days, even more now. He spent another $4 million on his new properties, and by then he already had 22 houses of various kinds. So the Ed Sheeran solution to the problem I'm about to set out is probably not one that you can exercise. But if you and your neighbor have had issues around noise, now it could be you making a noise and you've had to come up with a solution, or them making a racket and you've got to figure out how you're going to make sure this doesn't ruin your life. What situations like that have you encountered? And crucially, what solutions have you come up with? There is the conciliation, there's the cash if you're Mr. Sheeran, and then there's kind of outright cold or hot war between neighbors. Noise can really make people unhappy with each other. Tola Kelly, have you ever had to deal with a noisy neighbor thing, including where you were the noisy neighbor?
Never me, John, never me. So our complex, even though we have like a 10 o'clock cutoff when it comes to like music and parties, we're very like cool as long as you don't go overboard. But there was this one night where one of the downstairs neighbors was just yapping too early in the morning, and I was just like, I'm calling security. And within 10 minutes, security came and told them they have to shut it down. And you could hear them actually like kind of pack up and leave the complex. Like a month later, they also vacated the complex, period. So
yes,
I won the war.
So you've never had to say, sorry.
The one time that I hosted a party that went deep into the morning.
Into the morning?
Yes. I did warn the people that were at the party that at any point security could come and tell us to shut it down. So they were ready to pay the fine should I be fined. But I think because I'm not like a neighbor that annoys my other neighbors every weekend, they were okay with the one time I did do that.
There is one solution, Karabo Charlie, that if you're having a party and you're going to make noise, you invite the neighbors.
Yes, 100%. I remember we renting out my mother's house, and there's a couple of tenants in the yard. And one of them was making, he had a huge bash. And so to compensate, he welcomed into the party, he gave them food, he gave them drinks. So that was a good solution. So nobody complained. And then we have a neighbor. But first of all, in Soweto, noisy neighbors is a normal thing.
Yes,
you can't complain because they'll be like, who the hell do you think you are?
Yes.
But then there's this neighbor, next door neighbor. He on Sundays will take out his speaker and just blast music, much to my partner's annoyance. But John, I secretly enjoy his music.
Oh, really? He's got a good playlist.
He has a good playlist.
It's not a secret anymore, by the way.
So when she starts moaning and complaining, I'm like, gee, this guy is so inconsiderate. But I do nothing about it.
Does he do requests?
No. But he's really good. If he plays jazz, he plays jazz. He's like really good. And I always tell him, you should have been a DJ, eh?
Yeah, well, that's going to discourage him from waking your partner up and disturbing her peace. Which is worse, by the way, neighbors with loud music or neighbors with weed eaters? What are those? Leaf blowers.
Yes.
I never understand the leaf blower, but anyway, those kinds of noises. But if you've got involved in a neighborly dispute over noise, whether you were the noisy person or somebody else was, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. And as I mentioned, we're talking about this because I just happened to read on a music site I visit that on this day 7 years ago, Ed Sheeran dealt with the problem of his neighbors complaining about his noisiness by buying their houses. No, even if I could, I don't think I would. 12 minutes to 5.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Very interesting story on the Daily Maverick site. Takudza Pongweni fleshing out some issues raised but in an answer given in Parliament by Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwagube, how many vacancies are there that need filling in South Africa's public education system? The number is substantial, 17,450. The other issue that was canvassed was the number of teachers who are heading towards retirement. 60 is retirement age in basic education. I'm not sure I agree with that age, but, it's certainly not up to me. It just seems to me that you lose a whole lot of experience, and there are many very, very energetic, wise and interesting people who are 60 and older. I happen to know some. But it raises many questions. Are we heading for a crisis? And crucially, what can we do about it? My next guest is the associate professor and an associate professor in the Faculty of Education at Cape Peninsula University of Technology. But crucially, he's looked into and has written about issues that face the younger teachers that should be moving through and strengthening, in fact, the cadre of teachers that we have in our public schools. Professor Zaid Waheed, welcome and thanks very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners, and thank you for the invitation.
So, first of all, this overall problem, why do we have so many vacancies? I do want to get your thoughts on younger teachers and how we can equip them much, much better to stay in the profession. But any insights into all these vacancies? Is it bureaucratic? Is it financial? Or are there people who are just simply not interested in the job?
That's quite an interesting question. I think if we're looking at the rationale in terms of why young students pursue teaching, there is, of course, this love. You have to have this love for teaching.
Yes.
And we know that with teaching, there isn't specifically high salaries associated with the teaching profession. And so we teach with the notion of transforming society. We teach with the purpose of preparing young school kids for a better tomorrow. And so the cohort of teachers that we have in South Africa, ideally they would be looking at addressing issues around social injustice.
Yes.
I think if in terms of the issue around the number of teachers that are, of course, retiring, and of course looking at what universities should be doing, this is, of course, a systemic issue. And if we relate it to even for instance, the medical profession as well, when you have qualified doctors who are actually not being able to find particular work at universities. Of course, there are other reasons in terms of why that has happened. But in terms of the education context as well, of course, funding is a significant issue. So there are teachers that want to teach, but if there are not particular vacancies available, of course, it's quite problematic. So it's, of course, a systemic issue.
Yes.
That, of course, needs to be addressed.
So Prof, let's talk about then something you've written about. You and your colleague Johanna William have written a book called Preparedness to Teach, in which you look at younger teachers who are going through the process of training. From what I've read of the Daily Maverick article, you point out as a significant problem that they are just not prepared for the realities of classrooms. Now, I would assume those classroom realities are not going to change in any substantial or swift way. What should we be doing in training and preparation and equipping young people to actually, deal with those problems? Because from what you're saying, I get the sense that they really do want to do this work.
Certainly. The fundamental issue that we have amongst young teachers is that they are of course prepared in terms of universities concerning developing the disciplinary knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge. They do learn about context, they learn in context, but in reality they are faced with all sorts of socio-economic issues, which I've mentioned as well in the article. And I think one of the biggest problems is that in terms of teacher education is that we're not specifically speaking to the stakeholders as part of this system. And so teacher education curricula designed by teacher education institutions are critiqued on the notion that when we prepare graduates for schools, they're not prepared because we're not specifically working more closely alongside schools, communities, and of course other stakeholders as well, government as well. And so if we are to address this issue, it means that there needs to be a collaborative curricula that is designed alongside communities, schools, and the government to ensure that student teachers, when they enter the teaching profession and schools, of course, they would be in a better position. And so I would like to see a curricula that is more inclusive, holistic, and of course pragmatic, with the idea of ensuring that you have university educators. They are actually visiting schools and they're actually working alongside teachers towards redesigning the curricula. What I would also like to see then is teachers coming back to universities and saying, okay, these are some of the issues that we have in schools, and these are some of the strategies which we feel could be implemented in terms of teacher education curricula, so that students are better prepared for when they go out to schools.
Some of our listeners, Prof, have been calling in and saying, classroom conditions are very, very difficult for teachers. There is insufficient dignity attached to the job, perhaps when you compare it to, many, many years ago, and that teachers are simply not getting enough of a sense that their work is appreciated. I wonder what your take is on that, though, because I know that we do tend to highlight when things go badly wrong at schools, but do you think perhaps we have too much of a perception of our classrooms as battlegrounds and not enough appreciation of the good work that does go on there?
I would like to see teachers more appreciated in the school context. I think there's, of course, disparities in terms of how teachers are treated. Of course, due to socioeconomic issues, some teachers are able to teach more efficaciously in certain contexts, better resources, and so forth. I actually had this conversation with a teacher at a workshop that we had amongst teachers at the Granger Bay campus, and one of the teachers was talking about how she actually had to use her own money, for instance, just to ensure that the school children were, for instance, better clothes, that they were provided with stationery, and so forth. And so these are sort of the teachers that you want to commend. They're going the extra mile in order to ensure that the learners are supported. But of course, this has a significant impact on the well-being of teachers. Teachers will, of course, experience burnout as a result of having to, undergo immense stress in various conditions. And so it's important for there to be strong leadership in schools in order to ensure that teachers are motivated, they are encouraged, and they are, of course, supported. And of course, there needs to be a collaborative work on the part, for instance, of the private sector. I would like to see the private sector perhaps more involved in terms of supporting teachers in contexts, especially where we have under-resourced schools having limited resources and facilities and so forth.
Thank you so much. Very interesting stuff there from Professor Zaid Wahid. He's an associate professor at the Faculty of Education at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. If you are a younger person going into teaching, either in your first years or perhaps still studying and looking forward to getting a class and a classroom of your own and a school that you can call yours, and with ambitions and ideals of what you might achieve, whatever part of the school teacher journey you're on, I'd love to hear from you. 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
There are people that are trying to get IDEC to be disbanded, or that are trying to get Andrea Johnson to be fired. I think two things can exist at the same time. Yeah, sure. Maybe there are people in the ANC or in society who are threatened by IDEC. But also, let's be real. We're dealing here with a reality that Andrea Johnson's institution of IDEC, they were not able to explain why they went and investigated an HR matter when they didn't even look at the job advert. It just doesn't make sense. Why would Andrea Johnson send such sensitive information to Firoz Khan, information about the person who was complaining against Firoz Khan? Those are important questions to ask. Let's address those concerns. And then we can also separately address whether or not there are attacks on IDEC.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Joburg is more than a city, it's a vibrant energy that connects us all. That's why on Sunday, 26 July, you, ABSA and thousands of others are coming together to rediscover and celebrate the iconic inner city in the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk. Join the movement with ABSA and enter the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk before tickets run out. Secure your tickets at 702walkthetalk.co.za or primemediaplus.com. Jozi, ABSA sees you. Asambe. ABSA is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Terms and conditions apply.
Big advances in health are happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a new TB vaccine called M72 that could help stop people from getting seriously ill. And programs like Cochimpilo are helping men living with HIV overcome stigma, start treatment and stay on it through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africans helping shape the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for 25 years. Partners of human potential.
Many of us take taking a deep breath for granted. But for some infants with RSV, every breath is a battle. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
This is EWN.
Andrea Johnson moves to avoid self-incrimination at Madlanga Commission, and a major social grant review expected in the country. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has invoked her right not to incriminate herself at the Madlanga Commission today. This was in relation to allegations that she leaked a police docket to crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. The docket relates to a case of assault and intimidation opened by a female officer against Khan in July of 2018. Tabiso Koba reports.
In an affidavit dated July 10, IDEC head Andrea Johnson says allegations that she leaked police dockets to crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan are vague and unsupported by particulars. On the same day she wrote the affidavit, witness O testified before the Madlanga Commission and provided an email showing Johnson leaking the dockets to Khan. Johnson submitted a supplementary affidavit to the Commission yesterday, where she invokes Section 35 of the Constitution, which guarantees the rights against self-incrimination.
I hold the view that the Commission's fact-finding mandate does not override my constitutional protection against self-incrimination under any circumstances.
Johnson says the matter is now before the NPA and is awaiting a decision on whether she should be prosecuted. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Despite confessing at the Madlanga Commission to stealing gemstones worth nearly 15 million rand, Witness K's lawyer now claims that his client is innocent. Witness K, a JMPD officer, and suspended EMPD chief Julius Mkwanazi were each granted 5,000 rand bail today. They were arrested on Friday. The duo is accused of orchestrating the theft of precious stones from a Killarney apartment in 2023. Although Witness K voluntarily disclosed her alleged involvement during testimony before the Madlanga Commission recently, her lawyer, Oscar Tobachale, argues that she did not commit a crime.
Everybody must be presumed innocent until proven guilty by court of law. And when it comes to criminal procedure, the state must prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt without the assistance of the accused. So at this juncture, I can safely say my client is innocent.
The Gauteng Transport Department has denied claims of a breakdown in its relationship with the province's taxi industry. This despite claims by Taxi Alliance and TACO of an escalating dispute with the province over delays in issuing operating licenses. The organisation has warned that the backlog is hurting operators financially and could ultimately affect millions of commuters. Santaco is now threatening a province-wide shutdown if its concerns are not addressed, accusing the department of a lack of meaningful engagement. But Gauteng Transport Department spokesperson Lisi Bampia says while there are challenges, relations with the taxi industry have not broken down.
The taxi industry has informed the MEC that, look, there is a problem in terms of the issuing of operating licenses. Please intervene. And the MEC has done just that by actually reviewing how the operating license is distributed or issued. And she has taken it upon herself to actually go to the front line, take ownership of the operating licenses, go to specific associations and issue out these operating licenses.
Government plans to review around 350,000 social grant beneficiaries this financial year in an effort to protect the integrity of the system. The South African Social Security Agency says the review process aims to ensure the benefit is only paid to people who qualify. Social Development Minister Dina Pule briefed the media on the plan in Pretoria today.
Reviews help ensure that beneficiaries continue to meet the eligibility requirements for the grants they receive. This grant review process also continues to guard against the wasteful government resources in line with the already pressured government fiscus.
And in Afghanistan, search operations have been disrupted by more heavy rain and warnings of further flooding. Around 100 people are still missing in the eastern parts of the country after flooding smashed through one province, killing at least 23 people. The military has been deployed to the area to support the relief efforts, while the United Nations says it is assessing the disaster. With further rain and storms forecast in multiple provinces, police have warned residents to stay away from rivers. The weather has also affected neighboring Pakistan, where 12 people have been killed. Gold is trading at $4,069.26 an ounce. The rand is at 16.47 to the dollar, 22.03 to the pound, 18.78 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.75 a barrel.
Sunning Hill roadworks causing more than a 30-minute delay. This is approaching the intersection of Witkoppen Road and Rivonia Road. Four-ways traffic heavily backed up on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Witkoppen, and in Sunwood Park, slow-moving traffic on the N17 eastbound approaching Rondebolt.
A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 7 and 24, and Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees.
In your sport, Andile Dlamini banking on experience as Banyana chase another continental title. La Liga's president hits out at FIFA and calls on Gianni Infantino to resign. And Madeleine McCann's brother to swim for Scotland at the Commonwealth Games.
The top story in EWN, head of the investigating directorate against corruption, Andrea Johnson, has invoked her right not to incriminate herself at the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 5. How's your Tuesday been? We're already well into the week, eh? Some people heading home after a working day, others heading out because work begins. There are people who work in the evenings. Whatever you are in the traffic, some of you will make sure that the very latest news about where we have problem spots and what the alternative routes are comes your way nice and clearly and nice and punctually. We'll get that from Karabo Charlie shortly. Coming up on the show, we're going to focus our attention in this half hour on issues around how we spend our money, our country's money on sport. It's prompted by two things. First of all, the emergence of information that the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture spent around 31 million rand taking various people, a large number of people, to the World Cup in Mexico. In defense of that, the minister in that department, Gayson McKenzie, has said that some of that money came from sponsoring partners, which makes clear that that money isn't public money. But then the argument might be, well, couldn't you persuade sponsors to spend money on some of the more developmental aspects of sport? We'll engage with the department at a later stage, but what we want to focus on today is the comments made by someone who's been a member of the women's national hockey team for 7 years now. Untatile Zulu has posted something on Instagram in which she raises her huge frustration that she and her teammates are required to put up around 68,000 rand each to go and represent South Africa in the women's hockey World Cup. The men are playing at the same time, by the way, in the same country in Belgium. So the costs of doing all of this in Europe, the warm-up games, the training camps, and so on, also stressed by the relative strength of the euro against our country, our currency, however well the rand has been doing. Earlier, I had a long chat to Untatile. She had some very, very interesting things to say, and I know that many of you have got comments on that as well, which we will hear in a moment. That interview coming up shortly. 702 Drive, it's 10 past 5. Comments on this issue and any other, by the way, come to us on 072 702 1702. I asked you earlier how you deal with disputes with neighbors around noise, whether you're the one making the noise or whether you're the one who can't get any sleep or peace. Lebo says, one way to solve noise complaints, leave the community WhatsApp group where everyone is complaining about the noise that you are making. That's what one of our neighbors do. And her emoji shows a huge smile and laughing to the point of tears. So clearly Lebo was not annoyed by either the noise or the decision taken by the noisemaker. Let's hear from you.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to the listeners. So my son plays provincial hockey, and at the capping ceremony before the very recent IPT, the guest speaker, who is an old hockey and cricket coach, said to us very boldly that if your son is good at cricket and better and good at hockey as well, he'd rather choose cricket, because hockey is a labor of love and you are going to be funding him for the rest of your life. So, yeah, very unfortunate state of affairs when it comes to hockey, and very unfortunate state of affairs when it comes to my pocket, because that's all my son loves.
When it comes to sub-sports, it is so unfair. They waste that money on fans. Our baseball players, the under 16 boys, are going to Mexico end of September, October. It is 65,000 rand per boy. And we've got 2 girls teams. One has just left, and we've got another one going. And we've got the under 12s going, and under 23s. We, as parents, have to fit the bill for all of it. If they go and train in Cape Town, you've got to pay for the Gauteng boys to go down there to train as well. And it's just not right. There are so many sports that they do not pay 1 cent towards.
Yeah, and just on the subject of other sports, in response to Untatile's post on Instagram, someone called Amara Lani, I beg your pardon, who's clearly a leading member of, our women's softball team, says, we're dealing with the exact same thing in SA softball. Our senior women's team was meant to play in the World Cup in the US this September. Just 2 weeks ago, we were told we're withdrawing because the funding, quote, didn't pull through, end quote. 2 months before the tournament, after years of sacrifice, training and working towards this moment, it was just taken away. It's heartbreaking and honestly embarrassing that our athletes have to keep carrying the cost while representing our country. And she adds, in response to what Untatile had to say, thank you for speaking up. I stand with you and hope this starts a bigger conversation about investing in all our athletes. 702 Drive, we'll get more of your comments on this and we'll hear from Untatile Zulu in just a moment. But traffic first.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Okay, before we go to traffic, actually, I'm just being reminded that we need to talk about what we're doing in regard to music today. Now, I set up the music theme for the day by saying, what if you were to compile a playlist for people who are at least 15 years younger than you, and the gap could be much wider if it's appropriate to what this prompts you to think about, that's fine as well. What would be at the top of that playlist? And we're talking about this, Jonathan Fairburn, because your fiance is out there busy doing exactly that. Tell us more.
Yeah, John, she's very good at music. I mean, often when we're sitting there on a Saturday night after a couple of drinks, she'll play me a whole bunch of songs I've never heard before on
Yes.
YouTube, right? So we were at a 30th birthday on Saturday night, and they were on the dance floor, and there was a live band there as well. And they started playing Lightning Crashes by the band live.
Right.
And this young woman, she's early 20s. She had never heard the song before. And then obviously the chorus comes, and it's a little bit of a singy song. Don't ask why they were playing that at a 30th birthday party, because it's quite a sad song in a way. And then this young woman was like talking to my missus, and she was like, "Oh, this is a nice song. I love it." And then she said, "Do you know what the song's about and the lyrics?" Anyway, she explained the lyrics and what the song was about. And she was like, "Oh gosh, that's so sad," because it's about the circle of life, really.
Right.
An old woman dies and a baby is born. And then after that chat that they had, she was like, "Well, I've got to educate you about music."
Okay.
So now every Friday, starting from this Friday, Zahn will send her an essential song that she has to know about.
Fantastic.
So pretty
Boy.
cool. So obviously we'll play Lightning Crashes.
Yes.
But if you had to give somebody from a different generation an essential song that you would want to play, what would it be?
Okay, yeah, and I think I must get someone to put me on their essential list. Maybe I can also be on
Come
this
over
list?
and bring your wine.
Yeah,
And bring your
wine pump. There we go. No, but seriously, can I be copied in on this list?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not?
yeah.
Okay, let me be copied in. That'll be a good start. Let's hear them live. Lightning Crashes.
Lightning crashes, a new mother cries.
Okay, there we go. That's on on one person's list of essential songs that you can send to somebody considerably younger than you. We'll do it the other way around, by the way. Younger people sending it to people more my age. But let's get traffic right now. It's 5:16.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Groenkloof is in focus as a place where things are going slowly.
Yeah, bumper traffic leaving Groenkloof heading into Fountains Valley. This is on George Storer Drive between Tutoy and Fountain Circle. In Erasmus Kloof, still in Tshwane, accident scene on the N1 southbound near Rigel Avenue, causing huge delays from Linwood Road. In Centurion, there's also an accident scene N14 northbound. This is near Rigel Avenue, slowing down traffic. Sunninghill roadworks are now causing more than a 30-minute delay approaching the intersection of Witkoppen Road and Rivonia Road. Midrand, expect some delays. Expect about a 20-minute delay on Allendale Road between Old Pretoria Road and Mastiff. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Everyone's had the anxiety of wondering if their insurer will pay out their claim, but with Outsurance, you've got peace of mind. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Outsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. So switch to Outsurance, the insurer that consistently delivers on what you need. Insurance to do. 08 660,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP, TCs and information online.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings.
8 to midnight.
The public protector has come out to say the problem is that the municipalities don't have capacity to investigate and watch over, I suppose, the operations of spaza shops as they prepare food and sell food. Of course, if all of these months were spent to get to that conclusion, what we need to know is who is to be held accountable for that. Children died, and we're told, no, it's because of a system failure. Really?
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees, costs climb. Too few, productivity drops. Workforce Staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nico from Kailami is in touch with his emotions. So when we asked about the Nando's Peri Peri half chicken and a single side for only $125, he said,
I'm sad. I finished it.
Ah, Nikos, ungawari. Because this chicken season has more episodes. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Incredible Mazda moments of wonder await around every scenic twist and turn at 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. Because on Sunday, 26th July, you get to discover 5 Mazda wonder experiences on the 8-kilometer route from a stunning Japanese garden to a world of color. Visit one and share your wonder moments on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Then tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand thanks to Mazda, where wonder awaits. Official vehicle partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. T's and C's apply. You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get into my earlier conversation with Ontatile Zulu, 7 years in the national hockey team that's struggling to put together the funds, as is the men's team, to compete at the World Cup in Belgium next month. I started off by asking her to reflect on something that she said in that Instagram post, and this is what I read to her, and then we'll hear her comment. What's even more disheartening is seeing the massive amounts of money spent on sports tourism, while our national women's team is struggling to cover expenses to represent our country at the upcoming World Cup. It hurts, and I asked her what she was referring to. This is what she said.
Yeah, past few weeks has been a little overwhelming with all the media coming out regarding, FIFA World Cup. And I think it was very evident that during this time that Bafana Bafana was in Mexico City doing us proud, there was a whole lot of people who were sent there to support them. But with that, obviously, came a whole lot of expenses. And I think as a national player, I was very triggered with the amounts of, money that was spent around, going to support Bafana Bafana. And I definitely, am for supporting Bafana Bafana. But in that moment, I think I was triggered because, I'm sitting at home thinking of the expenses that we as players have to basically cough up before we leave for World Cup, because the money is needed for our prep leading up to World Cup, which we participate in beginning of August. So by that, I was really referencing to all the stuff that's been in the media that's come out, and I think everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. So as a player, I felt like it was necessary for me to just kind of express how I was feeling in that moment. And I think I related to a whole lot of athletes in South Africa, and I'm just glad that I was able to express myself. But I wanted to make sure that it was coming off as respectful as possible. And I just wanted it to be known to make people know what I'm going through in that moment and the reality that we face as a South African women's hockey team.
Yeah, I think you certainly came over very respectful indeed. Now, let me just again read for people's benefit who may not have seen in full what you had to say. You say, for years, my family, friends, and personal sponsors have financially carried my hockey career. You talk about the sport that you love, and you say, but behind every green and gold jersey is a heavy financial reality. And then I think this will shock people. I've had to personally pay for almost everything to represent South Africa: interprovincial tournaments, visas, flights, accommodation, and transport. How do you understand this? Because most people will be astonished to hear that and shocked, and yet for you this has become a daily reality.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times when I tell people, they're always shocked. And even my fellow South African athletes who are in obviously a more professional sport, whenever I tell them about my experiences, they're always so shocked. And I'm like, nah, this is the reality that I'm actually facing, you know. And I think there's so much talent and potential, and if we given that investment, I think we can do so much more, you know. And I'm so inspired by Bafana Bafana and what the Proteas women just did, and what the Springboks do every single year, you know. And I also want to be an inspiration to the rest of South Africa, and really I think a whole lot of athletes also want to be an inspiration, not just focus on, you know, the big sports. So that for me is something that I hope I can change over time through my experiences and just voicing what us athletes who are in underfunded sports are experiencing. So yeah, it's a shock to a lot of people, but it's the reality we face, and I continue to play because I'm so passionate about it, and I know that there's been a lot of sacrifices by my parents and my sponsors who have always put in money into my dreams and aspirations.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to play in order to inspire young girls who want to one day be like me, to be like, you know what, I want to be like Tati, but hopefully over time things do change, and there's a change once I've left, you know, because I've been playing for the team for 7 years, and it's been the same situation, paying for interprovincial tournaments, you know, all of that coming out of my pocket. Well, my parents' pocket and my sponsor's pocket, really, because I'm not working. I don't have a full-time job because I'm fully committed to playing hockey. So, yeah, it's been a long journey, and I continue to play because there's been a lot of investment, and I won't quit until I see some return on investment in some way for the satisfaction of my parents, my family, and my sponsors that have really carried me through the 7 years that I've played hockey.
Untatile, I mean, you give a breakdown of what players are responsible for contributing. And, you know, the nitty gritty is as shocking as the quantum. I mean, it's around 68,000 Rand at certain of the venues where you're going in the build up to the Women's World Cup. You've got to make a contribution to accommodation. You've got to pay for lunch and dinner. You've got to chip in your share of medical and recovery materials that are needed, whether that's personnel, salaries of physios and so on, and also some of the materials they need. You've got to pay a contribution to laundry. I mean, it really comes down to some of the most basic things that people would have accepted come as standard as being part of a national team. What is the Hockey Association, the body that governs things, say to you? I mean, presumably they're doing their level best to get some money as well.
Yeah, I think the South African Hockey Association is trying their best with what they have. And they have tried subsidizing certain things, but that amount that they send us is actually an amount that's subsidized. We were all a bit in shock. But I think it's with regards to Europe. You know, our prep is in Europe and everything is in euros. So you can imagine in terms of the exchange rate, how much everything costs. So as players, we know how important it is to prep before World Cup. You know, preparation really gives us that confidence going into the tournament. So if we don't have that confidence and we don't chip in 68,000 each, then, you know, it makes it really difficult for us to compete. So as much as it's super difficult, we know how important it is. And yeah, sometimes, you know, some of my teammates can't even afford that 68,000. So we're dealing with situations where, we're trying to help each other, and it becomes a burden because it's something that we don't want to think about, when we're going to compete and represent our country. If anything else, we should be playing with freedom and making sure we play to the best of our ability to make our country and family proud, So, yeah, it's a lot. And, yeah, I hope in the next week or so we're able to find someone who's willing to donate R1 million to the team because, yeah, it would really be a weight off of our shoulders. And hopefully, the minister's able to see what we as South African hockey are going through and the support that we need, especially leading up to LA 28. The Olympic Games is in 2 years' time, and there's athletes who are willing and possible, and we just need that support and backing and investment, not only in going to tournaments, but in preparation as well. Preparation is also very key.
Right.
And I think a lot of people miss that, you do need to prep in order to compete against the best in the world. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a better next few years. It's been the same thing for me for 7 years. And I haven't said anything about it because it's just been the same thing for everyone. But I just felt like
something needed to be said.
Yeah, it was sitting heavy on my heart, and I couldn't sleep. And I was like, nope, I need to say something. So I've gotten a little bit of traction, and hopefully, yeah, some type of change. And I'm willing to do anything possible to make sure that there is change and anything to help my team really and South African women's hockey. So. Yeah, that's the goal, and that's why I did what I did, and I'm hoping that things change over time.
So that was Untatile Zulu, 7 years in the South African women's national hockey team. They're trying to get the money together to compete in the World Cup in Belgium next month at a time when there is a robust debate around spending priorities in South African sport, prompted by the 31 million rand spent on people attending the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Give me your thoughts. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Sports time. No.
EWN Business.
There's a scoreboard, though.
There is indeed. Stephen Curtis with the business. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, I'm afraid not as many runs on the board as we would like, but slightly more than yesterday. The JSE All Share up 0.04%, 108,980. Financials not making much of a contribution at all, down 0.1%. And then industrials, not quite out for a duck, but down 1.71, and resources scoring a couple of fours that are up 2.41% on the day. News from the currency news just reporting in the last little while that the Public Investment Corporation has seen 4 more directors resign, John, and you'll see all of the trouble. We know that 2 resigned, we understand, last week. This is all about the CEO, Patrick Lamini, but currency news saying that the finance minister, Enoch Godongwana, had sent them a notice for a meeting that would possibly dissolve the board. So the conversation in the meeting was going to be, should he dissolve the board? They've gone. That leaves just a few left, and I would imagine it's not quorate. So that means, in fact, 5 of the 11 are left, including the chair, the deputy finance minister. So there's a lot more to come on the PIC story, I'm afraid. South 32 up 6% on the day. Really strong results from them yesterday, and I think people just factoring that in. And then the gold miners, Harmony, DRD, Sabania, Anglo Gold, all up by over 2.5%. Harmony up nearly 5% on the day, and platinum miners doing nicely too. Valterra up 3.18. Aspen are down 7.35%. Now, John, they had a big announcement yesterday about getting access to the Canadian market for weight loss drugs. We'll talk more about it on the Money Show, because there seems to be a sort of production or supply issue that has punished them today. Kumba down 5%. Kumba saying today that their EBITDA will be down quite dramatically. Their headline earnings will be down 40%, partly because heavy rains had a big impact on some of their operations, but there was also a big once-off payment from Transnet last year. That's impacted their results like for like this year. And then Sasol reporting their operations at Secunda, highest production in the last 5 years. Natref also having a strong year, but then their liquid fuel sales for the period were also higher, and of course their destoning project has gone very nicely. Some of the consumer shares down, so Mr. Price, Truworths, Itatal, all of them down quite significantly. significantly. Mr. Price down 3.6%. Naspers and Prosus down by around 3.5%. In the US, despite higher oil prices, everyone looking at AI chips, there's some results coming through in the next little while. The Dow Jones is up 0.57. The Nasdaq is up 0.97. The S&P 500 is up 0.56. The gold price, $4,068.39 an ounce. Platinum, $1,620.17. Brent crude, the wrong side of 90, $91.53. And the rand to the dollar, 16.46 to the euro, 18.77 to the British pound, 22.01. On the Money Show tonight, John, more on the latest with higher oil prices, what it's going to do to you. We'll speak to the Home Affairs Minister, Leon Schreiber, Dr. Schreiber, about the new trusted employer system. I think that's going to be quite interesting. A meeting today, we understand, between the Finance Minister, Ino Korongwana, and the Joburg Mayor, Dado Morero. We'll talk more about that. And then we will also talk in personal finance with Warren Ingram, why some of the worst days on the markets are not days you can avoid and why you must stay invested. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 26 minutes to 6. Stephen with us from 6 to 8. And Bali Tlamini with us right now with the news and the latest headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Former Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, Anton du Plessis, says the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is not the sign of a failed state. He says the criminal infiltration that's being exposed before it should be viewed as a display of institutional strength. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Business Against Crime, du Plessis, says while the testimony being given at the inquiry is an illustration of the depth of the crisis within the criminal justice system, it's also part of its resilience. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Addressing the Cape Town Press Club, advocate Anton du Plessis says as much as the evidence presented to the Madlanga Commission is shocking to watch, it's not a representation of the entire police service. He is of the opinion that the disturbing testimony before the Commission should not automatically be interpreted as South Africa being a failed state.
In a genuinely failed state, allegations of this nature would not be open, they would be suppressed. That's not what's happening here.
Du Plessis notes that the Commission is being accompanied by swift action to arrest those implicated in crime. He views the Madlanga Commission as an extension of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, which concluded in 2022.
It's the continuation of the state capture narrative. It is a contested state between those seeking the capture of public institutions and those trying to defend them.
Du Plessis says whatever the Commission finds, its recommendations should be accompanied by public implementation programs with clear, measurable outcomes and deadlines. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The Health Products Regulatory Authority has raised concern over the sale of counterfeit medication. In some instances, fake medicine is being accessed from spaza shops and even via social media. These include antibiotics and medication for weight loss and pain. SAPRA says what makes counterfeit medication especially risky is that it can look completely genuine with convincing packaging and pricing that may seem like a good deal. The authority's Mohari Fafudi stresses the importance of only getting medication through authorized healthcare providers as well as trusted channels.
This is up to the consumers now to know that this is their health. So education and awareness is what we want to focus on, to want the people to say that be careful of your own health and also seek remedies from healthcare professionals in healthcare facilities. So those are the key messages that we are sending to people.
And in Germany, a Turkish reporter has been arrested again weeks after his release. AFP is reporting that Asilikan Uludak has allegedly been taken into custody because of his tweets, although it's still unclear which ones. He was granted unconditional release on the 21st of May after he was arrested at his home in February for allegedly insulting the president. He has repeatedly denied the charges against him. A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 21 and 24.
Erasmus Kloof, Pretoria, accident scene N1 southbound near Rigel Avenue causing huge delays from Linwood Road. Centurion, also accident scene N14 northbound. This is near Rigel Avenue, slowing down traffic. And in Groenkloof, expect some delays on George Storer Drive between Dutoy and the Fountain Circle.
The top story in EWN, former Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions Anton du Plessis says the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is not the sign of a failed state.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So when we are referring to digital wallets, we're referring to something like a PayPal?
Yes, something like that. Somewhere where you can store digital value, kind of pre-fund it, and then use it whatever you want.
Why this is a positive thing, having digital wallets?
Sure, the Bank of International Settlements did a study where they said that for every 1% of your population that goes onto a digital wallet or becomes digitally active, the GDP raises by 0.1%. And so it's a really positive thing to have digital wallets. And, you know, if you look at all the big banks are kind of winning the top of the market, but banks largely serve people who already bank.
Paul Winburn, product manager at Eccentric Payment Systems.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting, and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by
Scholar Transport drivers, every winter morning, our children depend on you to get them to school safely. But overloaded vehicles and rushing against time puts lives at risk. Remember, our children are not cargo. Overloading reduces your ability to stop on wet or icy roads. Drive responsibly. Arrive safely. Protect every child, every trip. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Weekday evenings at 6.
We see the Assets Forfeiture Unit doing this kind of thing all the time. How do they trace the goods they confiscate? Are they following money through bank accounts to do this?
We're finding that criminals have got cleverer over the years. They hide assets in special proxies, in special purpose vehicles, in trusts. There has to be a trail. We live in a digital age.
Chad is the CEO at IRS Forensic Investigation.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Africa's energy future takes more than ambition. It takes turning plans into projects, opportunity into investment, intent into execution. At Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, we help connect the capital, expertise, and opportunity needed to bring sustainable projects to life across Africa. That's how we're invested in Africa's energy future.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good day, John and your team. My name is James from Randburg, and not that it's going to make much difference, but if that amount of money was spent on people to go and watch and stay in luxury hotels just because they happen to be connected, I think it's an absolute disgrace. Many years ago, my sister-in-law was world aerobics champion, and she had to also go over, represent South Africa overseas, and she had to pay for everything herself because the sporting body didn't come up with the goods. But in this day and age, with women's sports and men's sports, there's no difference. They're all competing and they're all just as good as anyone else. I think is an absolute disgrace that these people have to pay for their own amenities and to get themselves over there for the airfares and all the rest of it. But that's my 5 cents worth. Not that it's going to make much difference. Great show as always, John. Thank you.
Hi, John. Your topic got me thinking. I'm asking myself, are there provincial teams like per age group for football and all of these other sports? Because it just seems that, for example, my son plays for a club and we foot the bills all the way. And I'm asking myself that if there was a provincial team, if there was provincial selections, then at least the government would be able to chip in. And also, it would also give the kids that are not as privileged as some an opportunity. And I'm asking myself, do they still do that? Maybe you guys can find out. Shivers in Boxburg.
Well, Chivas, let me just share very, very briefly my own personal experience. As some of you know, I run an NGO that funds and supports and invests in schools, football and netball. And yes, there are provincial teams. And I'll tell you right now, this is the time of provincial tournaments. And I will just give an example. I won't name areas. I won't name individuals because I don't want to make it awkward for them. But I have 2 young people who've qualified for a very competitive provincial team. And the first thing that they got was a letter saying, congratulations, you've been selected. And the second thing was, in 12 days, they needed to come up with 11,400 Rand each. Both of them live in financially and economically stressed communities. And I deal with that literally every single year. Kids who qualify for those provincial teams, Shivas, which you say should then unlock government funding, actually depend on organizations like mine, the one I helped to start, Dreamfields, to come up with money in those kinds of amounts. And the most recent letter, as I recall, required the first deposit of 5,500 Rand to be paid within 4 days. And that includes paying for their own kit, by the way, to represent those provincial teams. We have a deep problem, people. We've got to fix it. It's 5:45.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele, very good afternoon to you. What is happening right now, please?
Dlamini is banking on experience as Banyana begin their WAFCON campaign against Tanzania on Monday. South Africa reached the semi-finals in the 2024 edition, but financial issues with SAFA dominated their campaign as they put in less than impressive performances. Dlamini is also hoping to win back the number 1 jersey, having kept 4 clean sheets for Mamelodi Sundowns ladies. That's during the Hollywood Bet Super League season.
I didn't do it alone. I did it with the club and the players that are in the club. Defending is not about goalkeeping and the defenders only, but also the strikers, how they counter press and how everyone works well, you know. And for me to keep clean sheets, it's not only me saving. Sometimes I cannot even save, just communicate. Goalkeeping is not all about diving and saving goals, but also about distribution and communication.
La Liga President Javier Tebas has called for FIFA President Gianni Infantino to step down as he hit out at the governing body for destroying the football industry. In an interview with an Italian newspaper, the head of the Spanish league also criticized World Cup hydration breaks, the final's lengthy halftime show, and the possibility of a 64-team tournament in 2030. Infantino is expected to be re-elected for a 4th term at FIFA's March Congress. That's after receiving support from federations including CAF. Switching over to the Betway Premiership, where Bernard Parker says TS Galaxy will not be selling Selugelo Mahlambi amid speculation he's wanted by the Big Three. The 21-year-old left winger was impressive last season and earned 2 nominations at the 2025-26 PSL Awards. That's in the Young Player of the Season and the Nedbank Cup Most Promising Player of the Tournament categories. And despite the Rockets signing 14 new players ahead of the next campaign, Parker insists none of them will be a replacement for Mahlambi.
Yes, there's been a speculation about him. Quite right, so there should be, because he is your modern winger in terms of being problematic, taking the space behind, and also he can also play in between the lines. He is very unpredictable, and he is your modern wingers. I wouldn't be surprised at the speculation, but we at TS Galaxy, we build and we sell, but at this moment we feel like it's not quite the right time for him to make the move.
And Madeleine McCann's younger brother Sean will swim for Scotland at the forthcoming Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Sean McCann was just 2 years old when his sister disappeared shortly before her 4th birthday during a holiday in Portugal in 2007. He's expected to compete in a number of freestyle swimming events and hopes the Games will propel him into contention for a place into Great Britain's team. That's for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's find out what's happening out on the roads, including in Erasmus Kloof, which was a problem earlier and seems to still be a problem now. Krabo.
Yeah, that's if you're driving into Centurion. We still have that accident scene in Erasmus Kloof, N1 South near Rajal Avenue. causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way to the Proof Plus interchange. Groenkloof, bumper traffic on George Storer Drive between Du Toit and the Fountain Circle. Sandton heading towards Midrand. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound. From Ethel Oaklands to the Patru interchange. Sunning Hill roadwork still causing about a 30-minute delay approaching the intersection of Witkoppen and Rivonia Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 minutes to 6. Okay, let's get into our music feature now. What we asked you was, if you were compiling an essential playlist, song by song, for somebody who's at least 15 years younger than you, what songs would you put on the playlist? We want you to go right to the very top of that playlist and pick your most essential song. This from Chad, who says you got to have War by Lowrider, all the way from 1975. Yeah, give him some mid-70s funk to get him going on that essential playlist. Your suggestions, please, to 072 702 1702, 10 to 6.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has recused herself from the unit's cases involving senior SAPS crime intelligence officers due to conflict of interest. Last year, IDEC charged the head of crime intelligence, Dumsani Kumalo, along with several other officers from his department with fraud and corruption. IDEC accused the officers of colluding to unlawfully hire an inexperienced person to a senior position within crime intelligence. The case has been a subject of contention before the commission, with allegations that IDEC pursued it due to political influence.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Imagine what 25,000 Rand could do for your business. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving business owners the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Whether you own a beauty salon or a retail store, maybe you run your own guest house or any other business, this one is for you. Visit primemediaplus.com, tell us the boldest move you've made in your business, and then get an obligation-free business insurance quote from Budget Business Insurance. We could call you this Friday to fuel your next big move. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer, and FSP, T's and C's apply.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test. You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million Rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
Life doesn't stay the same. It grows. One moment becomes another. One plan becomes 5. And before you know it, the life you've been building is all around you. With its refined new grille, elevated 7-seat design, and seamless wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the new Jetour X70 Plus is designed for every chapter ahead. From 444-900. Book a test drive today. The new Jatura X70 Plus. Life expanded.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Song top of my list, You Rock My World, Michael Jackson.
Be the same, 'cause girl, you came and changed the way I walk, the way I talk. I cannot explain the things I feel for you, but girl, you know it's true. Stay with me, fulfill my dues, and I'll be all you need.
Michael Jackson's final studio album called Invincible, that one called You Rock My World. Boriela brings it home and says, this is the essential song for the younger generation. Hugh Masekela and Leta Mbulu. It's called Usemncane. Yeah, Ross now takes us back to some kind of heavier stuff, into progressive rock. This is the Dutch band Golden Earring. Ross would send out to that younger person as top of the essential playlist. This one called Song of a Devil's Servant. .702 Drive. Let's find out some more songs that need to go on that essential playlist. Let's take a listen.
Hey John, how's it? This is Thomas from Four Ways. The song that I would love to introduce my nephew to is Dr. Rocket, Cover the Floor. Oh, John. I always say when this song was produced, those people were on something. They were high on something. I don't know what it is, but they were high on something.
Sounds of Dr. Rocket. Yeah, we're building up that playlist. Essential songs that a younger person might need to learn about if you want to share with them the music that you've learned to love. Shanine says Dreadlock Holiday by 10cc. Shanine, thank you. Sending that from Krugersdorp. That's a good one. What else? What other songs do we have? Okay, we're just lining up the last of your voice notes. Let me see what other suggestions we've got. I had a whole lot. There's somebody who sent us, by the way, a whole album worth of Earth, Wind and Fire, starting with September. But hey, it's only July, so let's hear this one.
John and the team. John, I would undoubtedly add Bob Dylan, Meet Me in the Morning, on the list. It has that classic and blues, mid-tempo in it, just to spice up the list. They would undoubtedly love the mix. Bob Dylan, Meet Me in the Morning. Joel from Kempton Park. Have a splendid evening, John and the team. 702 Landers.
Meet me in the morning, 56 and Wabi Shop. Meet me in the morning, 56.
Let's not miss these three from Kingsley, who recommend Sipho Gumede, Alone in a Strange Place, Mbongeni Ngema, Stimela, Sasi Zola, and Mike and the Mechanics. In the living years. This has been 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, and the team. Have a great Tuesday. Good night.
This ain't the darkest hour, right before the dawn. This ain't the darkest hour.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how ABSA are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening on your Money Show tonight with more conflict in the Middle East.